Are you searching for a college where you belong? Calumet College of St. Joseph wants to know you and give you the support you need to succeed. Are you worried about how you'll pay for your degree? 95% of our students receive financial aid, including scholarships and grants. Need some extra help with your classes? You'll benefit from our small class sizes, free tutoring, internship planning, faculty mentors, and so much more. Come experience our accepting, supportive college family for yourself. Schedule your campus visit and apply at ccsj.edu.
Hey, good morning, region. It is Chuck. It is Lynette. We are here with you on a Monday. No Bob Starkey. He is on assignment, as we like to say. So it'll be just us today. Your phone calls. We're going to have a guest at 7 o'clock to talk about an upcoming fundraiser. Other than that, it's just you're stuck with me today. So there's a lot to go over in the world. I forgot I was going to start off the show today, Lynette. I completely forgot. Here, tell me if this comes across on the radio. Okay, ready? Here we go. That's your news for the day. There's so much going on. Okay. I think that's me. Is that okay? There we go. Yeah. She said, Mark says we're low. So yeah, go ahead and crank it up. Why don't you crank up production truck and see if that's better for the YouTubes? Just crank that up. Crank it to 11. That'll make them happy over there. We're chasing a little bit of a hum, so we're gonna work on that. So as long as we stay loud, you won't hear the hum. But if we don't talk much, which is not good for radio, you will hear the hum. Mark says awesome. Thank you, Mark. My real-time feedback from Mark. Okay, Mark says we're good on the YouTubes. Everybody's good, so we can actually start the show. Okay, so let's take your first look at traffic and weather. Not much to report in the world of traffic. Everything is moving along smoothly. The roads are clear. Everything's going great. Nothing to report here in Indiana. 80, 94, 65. Everything's good here. 80 east and west is good. Bishop Ford's good. Dan Ryan's good. Everything is good. Everything is good. Let's keep it that way. Everybody just, do the speed limit. Chill out. Listen to the show. No accidents, and we'll have a nice, quiet Monday morning commute. So, Lynette, how's the weather?
Good morning, everyone. Today we're at 23 degrees with highs of 28 and lows of 19. We'll be having a couple morning flurries, otherwise mostly cloudy and chilly. Watch for some freezing drizzle, and then later tonight we'll be having areas of low clouds with a flurry or two. And then tomorrow on Tuesday we'll be having highs of 26 and lows of 16. It'll be mostly cloudy and cold. And then Wednesday we'll be having highs of 24 and lows of 11 with periods of clouds and sun with a flurry or two and very cold.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. We got a lot of news to get through, both locally and nationally. I wanted to start by the big news, Lynette. Did you watch the Grammys last night?
I did not, but I saw some clips of it.
Yeah, it was wild, huh? It just went exactly as I expected it was going to go. But, I mean, we'll get into that later, I promise. Let's get into some more serious news, though. We obviously just got a couple texts about the Big NIPSCO protest yesterday. Let us know. If you were out there, give us a call. Want to hear how many people were out there. I saw some photos. I mean, here's the thing. It's getting a lot of coverage. There's a Facebook group, sort of grassroots group, NIPSCO Madness. My friend Jeff Miller and a couple other people started that. It's gotten a lot of media attention, both Chicago, locally, Michiana, stuff like that. So it's getting a lot of coverage. I was just reading an article about the protest in the WGN News. So good job to everybody that's out there working and keeping this story alive and getting it out there. But, I mean, the big question then becomes, what are we going to do about it? I mean, it's great that we had a protest. It's great that you're keeping the story in the forefront, but what happens next? I mean, again, at the end of the day, it's up to you to decide where this goes. I mean, is this unsustainable? I've been hearing from, people that their NIPSCO bills have gone up. Again, this should have been a 16 or 17% increase, and people are saying their bills have doubled. I'm talking to business owners. Our friend Stan Stefanski was on the Channel 2 News last week talking about utility bills at Big Frank's. Is this reaching a level of unsustainability with everything else going on in the world? And that becomes the question is, it's great that you're out there protesting, but what are we going to do about it? We have some sad news out of Hobart Saturday night. According to the Lake County Coroner's Office, emergency responders were notified at 10:24 Saturday that there was, I'm not going to name his name, but there was a 13-year-old boy that had an accident at Steel Wheels BMX in Hobart. Basically, it was a fatal accident at the racetrack there. So our condolences to his family. And I was asking some people just if they kind of, again, I've never really been a part of that world, but it sounds like it was just a tragic accident out on the track, and our condolences there. 7 o'clock today. Lynette, how do you feel about groundhogs? Did you know today's Groundhog's Day? We probably should have played a clip, but I don't get you believe in any of that stuff, the groundhog and seeing a shadow and all that?
It's cute. Sure.
It's very cute.
It's a nice tradition, I guess.
Well, what you need to do for us, you need to keep an eye on things, because at 7 o'clock today, Woodstock Willie in Woodstock, Illinois, from the movie Groundhog Day, will let us know if he sees a shadow or not. And you don't even really have to do weather. You just say, well, at 7 o'clock, Willie saw his shadow, and that's the weather. But yeah, keep an eye on that for us. We'll find out at 7 o'clock if Woodstock Willie indeed saw his shadow. What did Bob's chiming in. Bob was just talking about the Tri-Town Safety Village. I think he's on the board there. He said their NIPSCO bill was $2,900 last month. I would be curious, again, just like for a lot of people, I would be curious for an organization like that keeps close tabs on their utilities. Was it a 16 or 17% increase, or was it much, much more? Because, that's sort of the question. And in his case, he said, yeah, we got to keep the heat at a minimum. Otherwise we get burst pipes and stuff like that. So even, places like that where maybe they're not used every day, they still got to keep the heat going to keep the pipes, from freezing and stuff like that. So it's necessary to keep it at a certain temperature. So yeah, I want to hear from you guys about all that. Let's see, I'm getting a few messages. Yeah, Mark is asking, do they actually, Mark, that's an interesting, Mark's asking if they actually, how they talk, do they talk to the groundhog? Does the groundhog talk to them? Like, how does this work? Again, it's a big secret mystery, Mark, I think. Now it's interesting, like if you go to, I was watching the thing in Punxsutawney, that they hold the groundhog, like the guy says, he claims he speaks groundhogese. I think I'm just saying it's like it's starting to feel a little, what's that word? It's a little bit of a shtick there. Like, there's no real, like, the groundhog sees a shadow. It's like a guy holds it up to his ear.
They just let him out of his little house, and then if he goes back in, that means he's scared of the
Well,
shadow.
that's how it's supposed to work, right? It used to be that they would all, like, gather around, and he would pop out at that day, and if he went back in, they're like, okay, more winter. Now they, like, pick him up and hold him to their ear, and they all wear top hats, and, it's like a whole thing. But we got some calls? It looks like we got some calls. Yeah, okay. Let me take some calls. Do that.
Wait. Here we go.
Ready?
Yep.
Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Happy Groundhog Day.
Same to you, Walt. Have you ever talked to Groundhog? Do you know how that works?
Not exactly. I mean,
I don't think they do either.
The movie either.
Right.
I gather it's a comedy, classic, American classic.
Yeah,
kind of
yeah.
thing. Isn't that in Pennsylvania rather than Illinois?
Well, no, it was filmed in Woodstock. So it's based on Punxsutawney, where Punxsutawney Phil is from, but it was filmed in Woodstock because I believe the director is a Chicagoan, if I remember my history right. So he said, Woodstock's a beautiful little city, let's film there. So they actually filmed a lot of those outside scenes of the event in Woodstock, Illinois. And that now it's become almost nearly as famous as Punxsutawney. So they'll have a big event at 7 o'clock. It'll be live on the news and all that kind of stuff. I think it's just a tourist thing.
So it's when the Channel 9, they were talking about 7 o'clock, they meant Middle Western time, not
yes, 7 o'clock our time. I don't know if Punxsutawney, I don't know what time they do theirs, but we'll keep close tabs on it. Our crack news staff will keep close tabs. We'll get a tally of what the different groundhogs, see if there's an agreement on the weather from the groundhogs.
Are you? There's a lot of stuff in the media about gold, and are you a gold bug?
I was watching that. I've never been a gold. I was always of the opinion, Walt, and I love to get, I always appreciate your opinion on these things. I don't know if you're following this. There was a flash crash of gold and silver markets. There was also a crash of the Bitcoin. So there's been this huge crash. And of course, now everybody's eyes are on the market this morning. The market's already down. The markets are down out of the gate. There's big questions as to what's going to happen in the markets today. So a lot of people anxiously watching that. But it's an interesting thing, Walt. And again, I follow these things, but I'm not. I try to. I'm not an expert on this, but it's really interesting. I said over the weekend. I said, here's the thing. None of this makes sense. The idea that the stock market's at an all-time high, but also gold and silver were at an all-time high. I mean, none of this makes sense. If anybody who's studied traditional markets would say none of this, anything that's happening right now, none of this makes any sense. And I just can't. I don't know what to make of it, Walt. Is this a good thing, or are we on the verge of something major? I don't know.
Well, the last time we saw this was back like in 2008,
right,
kind of thing. And I was a business professor at the time, and there was a lot of talk amongst the students about buying gold and so forth. And I pulled out a chart on the movement of gold versus the stocks over extended periods of time. And the point I made to the students was, gold is more like a fire insurance.
Right.
It's not the kind. Yeah, you don't want to unless you're an arsonist. I mean, you don't want to use that fire insurance. But if you look at the record over an extended period of time, stocks outperform gold, and
right,
some would even say gold is not really an investment; it's something else.
Well, and the argument I've always had with gold was, the idea was there are people that hoarded gold because they thought they had very little trust in the market or in the American economy. But then my argument was, what are you going to do with the gold? Are you going to, you're going to shave off a little bit for a sandwich and use that in the like? Exactly. How do you work with gold? Like at a certain point, how does that work as an economy? You can't, Like that's the difference between gold and like Bitcoin, for instance, is you can shave off a little Bitcoin and pay somebody. You can't exactly do that with gold. You got a gold bar buried in your backyard. That's great. What are you going to do with it? Nobody's going to trade you that for a sandwich. So spot gold crashed 10% on Friday. Silver nosedive 30%. A lot. We were talking about silver last week. Silver is making an all-time high. There's a lot of questions about market manipulation and how they, basically a lot of people were. One of the things that happens in that market is that people leverage, and so a lot of people got wiped out with that flash crash. And obviously, there's a lot of questions about market manipulation and stuff like that. But I would just say, business as usual in Wall Street. But it is an interesting thing, though, Walt. Like with all this uncertainty, to still see the markets continue to make all-time highs, it just to me, I mean, even as I'm looking right now, I was just checking now, the SPY is already down 0.5% in pre-market. I expect it's going to be a rough day today in the markets. It's an interesting thing that with all of the uncertainty that the markets continue to do well, and that's sort of the argument is. Back here at home, your NIPSCO bill's going up, our bills are going up, but the stock market is doing well. So if you've got a 401k, you're like, okay, my bills are up, but my 401k is up as well. So it's kind of a weird time. And I don't know how long we can sustain this.
Well, an interesting fact is that it's not getting much press here, but I watch NHK, the Japanese news service,
right?
And because of the price of gold, there's a little bit of a boom in the gold mining operations in Japan, no less.
Makes sense, yeah.
And it's a little surprising when you hear gold boom. You think more like Australia or the Western United States or something like that. But Japan, that's the last place I would think. I mean, the Japanese do not have a whole lot of mineral resources, and they have to import an awful lot of those kinds of things. And of course, that played a role in their eventual defeat during the Second World War. They just ran out of resources that they couldn't replace, and the American strategy was to keep sinking their merchant ships and trying to bring mineral resources from their holdings in Southeast Asia and so forth, and eventually they just ran out of merchant ships as well. So it's an interesting story. But one of my I watch on the weekends. I watch C-SPAN an awful lot, and especially on Sunday they have the nonfiction books. And one of my favorite people in American politics these days is a rare conservative Democrat by the name of a lawyer by the name of Turley, and he's come out with a book. It's coming out. I understand it'll come out today, called "Rage and the Republic." And basically, the point he makes is that what we see going on in the streets of America is has an awful looks an awful lot like, and then also the universities and so forth. From his perspective, he sees there's a lot in common with the Jacobins in France in the early 1800s type thing, and he points out that a lot of the players in this are not impoverished people, but doctors and lawyers and professors and so forth. And they gave us the guillotine, where thousands of people had their heads chopped off because they didn't pass muster. And I would say I've used the word Bolshevik to refer to the wokest Democrats and the kind of things that they're doing in our streets, going back to the 60s and 70s. But I'd certainly recommend. I haven't read the book because it's just coming out now. But I certainly can recommend the guy because he's a really solid thinker and Rage and the Republic by Turley.
Yep, I got that on my list.
Are you familiar with Mr. Turley?
I'm not, but I'm curious about that. I've written it down, and I will check that out later today. I did want to bring you back to something, because you mentioned something earlier that I found interesting, that I was watching an interview with the Transportation Secretary, Sean Duffy, and he was talking about something that you just mentioned, the idea that, for instance, he was talking about shipbuilding in this country. He said at one point, we were the biggest shipbuilder in the world, and then we just sort of forgot about it. Now we build less than 1% of the ships. And he talked about how President Trump talked about how important it was to start building ships again, and people had to explain to him, said, Mr. President, if you stop doing something for a while, you forget how to do it. And so we can't just, get a bunch of guys together and start building ships. We have to put together, obviously it takes massive infrastructure to build a ship, but you also need a lot of knowledge. And so that was one of the things he talked about. And you mentioned sort of the raw materials. He talked about even, we want to, obviously like a few years ago, we were talking about the CHIPS Act and things like that. And he said, here's the thing is that now, as you mentioned, countries like Japan, or in this case, China, he mentioned specifically, they basically cornered the market on the raw materials to make, silicon chips, semiconductors, and things like that. He said, even if you wanted to, you can't get the raw materials. That basically China is silently making it difficult for us to even gather the raw materials. They kind of saw the writing on the wall. They said, okay, we want to make sure that the United States, if they realize that they need to get back into the manufacturing business, don't have the raw materials to even do it. And so that's one of the things he was using this argument about how the Chinese are so far ahead of us and sort of their planning. It's like, even if we wanted to at this point, we can't do these things because they've cornered the market on the raw materials. And then that becomes a question is, if a country such as that basically controls the markets where you can't even build something, what do you do? What do we do to even get back into those markets? How do we get back to the, building chips and things like that?
Well, there's a lot of talk in terms of looking at the South Koreans and others to build those ships for us. Right. Trump is talking about building up the Navy and building battleships, no less. Talking about building the first bunch of 10 and see how that works out. That's really surprising. But it goes to the issue: who's going to build it? Where is it going to build? And of course, he's looking at our allies, like the South Koreans, and it just goes to show you when the communists they have the luxury of thinking in terms of decades, making plans decades in the future. We're stuck on every 2 years.
Well, we're on the election cycle, right? That's the problem, is that you can't ever, and this is something, you and I talked about this a few months ago, this idea that a lot of economists said the only way that the United States is going to get out of this financial crisis is to have like a 20-year plan, and that's never going to happen when you've got, the White House changing every 4 years, you've got the House. When you've got this constant fluctuation of who's in charge, you're never going to get a 20-year consensus. You're never going to get a plan in place that they're going to stick to for 20 years, and that's our biggest downfall.
And those who think ahead are either ignored or ridiculed, and a good example is that this NIPSCO business. I brought this up over 2 years ago, and to point out that, in my opinion, we're going to see a dramatic increase in energy. And if you doubt this, look at California. But not many callers talked about this. They'd rather talk about the Bears Stadium and think issues like that. Now they're screaming bloody murder.
Right.
I remember they talked about average percent increase of 15%. And I said, nah, it's going worse than that. And the first big jump, it was on my the NIPSCO bill, comparing the month to the previous month, the month a year earlier. It went up 30%, kind of thing. Duh.
Well, and even you see the natural gas. The natural gas prices have gone way up as well. So, again, you're sort of at the mercy of the markets. But this is what we talked about last week a little bit. Is that at the end of the day, that as the, again, I always go back to the devaluing of the dollar as the overarching theme here. You have the devaluing of the dollar. A company like NIPSCO, they have to spend a lot of money on copper and silver and things like that. A lot of that raw materials have gone way up. Just the cost of doing business in this country has gone up dramatically, and that will always get passed along to the consumer. And that's it. End of discussion. Whatever happens at the end of the day, a business owner is going to pass those costs on to the consumer. And especially in the case of NIPSCO, we're held hostage here. It's a government created monopoly, and there's really not much you can do to get away from it. So, Walt, I appreciate the call and the wisdom as always. It's always good to hear from you. We do have to take a break, so have a good day, Walt. Let's go ahead and let's take a break, and we'll be back with more calls here on the Monday morning of Chuck's Winter of Discontent here at the new old nude studios of WGOB.
Life's biggest challenges don't come with a warning. When legal issues arise, whether it's a car accident, personal injury, criminal charge, or representing you before municipal boards, you need a trusted advocate on your side. At Westland & Bennett, we listen first because your story matters. We provide strategic, personalized legal solutions to protect your rights, your freedom, and your future. Peace of mind starts with a conversation. Call 219-440-7550 today for a free consultation.
It's the simplest expression. The smallest thing that changes everything. A smile. So easy. A smile lights it up. Apologizes. And welcomes unconditionally. Because the shortest distance between two people is a smile.
Thank you.
Dragon Van Til, where making life easier starts with a smile.
.23 here in the region. So I'm looking for, we were talking about the big breaking news of the day, which of course it is Groundhog's Day. We have Woodstock Willie at 7 o'clock. We have Punxsutawney Phil. I'm looking here just for the news just to see what we can find out. What did Punxsutawney Phil say? Let's see here. We have, a lot of breaking news. Let's see. Breaking news from Punxsutawney. Let's see what they have to say. Okay, so there's like a whole. They're running this like it's like at 7:16 they arrived at the tree, and okay, it's okay. So we don't know yet. So we're waiting a few more minutes to find out if Punxsutawney Phil has seen a shadow, and we'll find out about Woodstock Willie at 7 o'clock. So for those of you that subscribe to such things, we'll be anxiously awaiting the Groundhog's forecast. But in the meantime, why don't we take some callers? We got a few callers waiting. So let's take the next caller. And good morning, caller. You were on the air.
Well, good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Fine.
Why doesn't Gary have a groundhog? We need to have like a region groundhog somewhere. Why don't we do that?
I don't know how we could do that. Let me just say that I want to applaud those individuals who went out and protest with NIPSCO, but I sometimes think we jump after the horses out of the barnyard.
Right.
We should have been out there when they come to all these communities. And I said this before because I've been protesting NIPSCO for years, and I don't agree. And I agree with. I'm glad that they get out there, but I think it's over until the next when it's time to do it again. And they have people coming into their community, in their regulatory commission, coming here in my community, your community, and probably other communities throughout Northwest Indiana. And just sometimes I think we when I say this, it's, he's picking on NIPSCO. He's picking on NIPSCO. But when it hits you hard, then now here you come crying. I just think a lot of times right now, and it has caused us to be so divided in America. Give you a couple of examples. I know that Tulsi Gabbard went to Georgia to uncover some corruption was done in the election. When Trump begged, can you find me 11,000 voters? Well, if he'd have found him 11,000 voters, he still couldn't have won. And why would we spend money right now sitting there? And I want to challenge those people because I know they're gonna call and say, there he go again. Tulsi Gabbard went down there. The Republicans who were in charge said there was nothing going on. Why are we sending money down there? Now they don't find a problem with Trump sitting there. And she went down there as a result of Trump. Basically, that lie that they stole the election. You know they didn't steal the election, and it was the Republicans say they didn't win the election. They didn't lose the election. Mike Pence said he didn't lose it. He certified the election. So again, we have this thing. Now J.D. Vance is going to Ohio. Well, you know what happened in Ohio when they say they eating cats and dogs? That was a lie. Those people said, and if I'm wrong, I hope Chuck, that you will straighten me out. If that was wrong, he said, oh no, those people said, oh no, those people are working, they coming here, we don't have a problem. Why is J.D. Vance going to Ohio now? Are you aware of that?
I did not know he's going. I didn't know that he was there now. No, I did not hear that.
Yeah. Well, he was supposed to go there, and he's going to, right now. Do you remember when he said they eating cats and dogs there?
Right.
And you also remember those people who own those businesses say, no, those people are working there. They're from Haiti. Okay, they're from Haiti. Okay. So I'm just simply saying that right now, and I heard those people how they jump on Matlock. They jump on Matlock, but when Matlock come with something, I've done a little research, but Donald Trump said if you keep saying the same thing, pretty soon people gonna start to agreeing with you and believing you.
Well, okay, so let's step back real quick. So let's start with the NIPSCO protest because I know I'm sure you've been to some of those IURC meetings. I've been to a few here.
I've been to a lot of them.
I've been to a lot of before. But here's the thing, Ron. Has a single person ever stood up at the podium and go, you know what, guys, you deserve a raise. I'm for this. I've never heard a single person at a single IURC meeting come out and go, I can afford this, go for it. You know what I mean? Not a single person has ever said, I'm good with this. Every single person said, look, I'm older. I have to decide. I remember the one woman that said, I'm going to have to decide whether paying my NIPSCO bill or paying for my medications. And this is the problem. You have this 5-member board, I believe, appointed by the governor, and they get to make that decision. It's basically, again...
And Republicans make that
decision. Well, okay, that's fine. But again, that's the system in place, and it's sort of this idea where we have this, unelected board making decisions. We talk. You pick the board. We have a lot of unelected boards of appointed people making decisions for our future that you can't vote out. Right? You can't vote that group out of the IURC board. And that becomes the problem, is that what's the accountability? I can't name a single one of them. Can you? I don't know if anybody listening can name anybody on the... We know who our governor is. We know who our congressman is. Nobody knows who's on the IURC board, right? That's the problem. We have, as people called it, the shadow government of unelected officials making these decisions. And a lot of it, I think, is so that, when you go to yell at your congressman or you go yell at your governor, they say, well, it wasn't me. It was the IURC committee. Well, you appointed them.
Well, they're right.
Right, that's right.
But you changed gears on me, but I'll let you change.
No, but I'm saying, well, you brought up NIPSCO, but yeah, so okay. So here becomes the question, though.
I applauded those people.
Absolutely, but then the question is, like I said, what's next, though? I mean, protests are great, but what's next?
What's next? What's next? Probably another couple of years, they'll come back to your community. And if you don't turn out, and even if you turn out, they still are going to do what they want to do, okay?
And that becomes a question. We do turn out. I mean, I remember there was, here in Hammond, a full auditorium of people. They did turn out, and they still voted for you, right? And they still voted to raise the increase. So I mean,
they don't care. They don't care because you don't. It ought to be where we vote for those individuals. Say, hey, you're going to be on there. We're going to have statewide, wherever NIPSCO cover. We're going to have. And then you, but if they don't do that, then of course we'll continue. I don't think it'll ever, because basically those people downstate, and I think other week Tom on his program, when some people tried to blame Mervan, and Mervan had nothing to do with that.
I understand. I agree.
They were appointed. They were appointed by a Republican who happened to be a good Republican. I think Holcomb was a good Republican. I mean, he was a good guy. I'm not the kind of person. I'm not the kind of person to jump on and say he's a Democrat, he's a Republican. Because right now there's some good Republicans and there's some good Democrats. We're not all bad. But that's what's going on in America, and that's what's got America so effed up right now. Is that right now, and it's causing problems right now. And right now, I just listened last night. I tend to change gears. Last night in Texas, a red state. I know you know about that. Super red state put a Democrat in office where Donald Trump had, because I know my numbers, had won by 17%. And this guy won, I think, by 14%. And they say it was unheard of. That's national news. That's what we ought to be talking about. We're going to talk about something I applaud you going out there for NIPSCO. But I'm just simply saying there are some things that really bothers me in America. And that's the thing that right now with this ISIS going in and taking this little kid out. If you don't see anything wrong with that, something is wrong. And right now, they're going to. And they even the Republicans saying we believe we're going to lose the House, and maybe it's going to be a close call, which is 4 votes different in the Senate. And if you do that, I make a prediction that Trump will walk out and say, "I resign right now."
So let me ask you this question then. And you know me, I'm a libertarian. I'm an independent person. I don't support either party, but I want good things for everybody, and I see my neighbors struggling.
So, the truth, though.
But here's the thing. So I agree with you that it looks like that Democrats are going to take control. But my question is, what does that mean? What is do they have where is the plan?
What it is that people are upset. People are upset, and they're not looking at parties. They're looking at policies. That's what they're looking at. They're looking at the economy. They're looking at that's what they're looking at. And I'm just saying, here in Indiana, when they tried to go get Frank Mervan out, and Republicans, the good Republicans, joined the Democrats and say, no way, we're not going along with that. And I'm just saying that until these people who believe that Donald Trump is God somehow, I don't hate Donald Trump. I just dislike his policies. And I have a right to say that because when he says something, I just say, hey, did you say that? Oh, I didn't say that. They had him on a hot mic on a few things he said.
Okay,
he shouldn't have said
but here, follow me on this for a second. But here's what I'm saying, though, is that to me, what I hear a lot on the national level is not, here is my plan, but my plan is I oppose what the other guy's doing. So it's basically always like you just said, it's we oppose Donald Trump and what he's doing. That's fine. That's your position. But I'm saying for me as an independent person, as a libertarian, what is the plan? Not I oppose Donald Trump. What is the plan moving forward to help this country? And that's the question that Democrats need to be asking themselves. If you plan to win, I don't want to hear we're going to fight Donald Trump. I keep hearing we're opposing Donald Trump. That's great, but what is your plan? It can't just be we're fighting his plan.
My plan would be for the cool heads to get together.
Okay. Democrats
and Republicans, like they were saying. I heard in Minnesota where the president talked to those people and take ICE. They don't need ICE in there. It's causing problems. It's causing all kinds of problems. 2 people were killed, and I don't know what the situation was. The little boy, 5 years old.
Right.
That's a problem. And so I'm just simply saying people need to come together. But I think they're so stuck on stupid. And I'm a conservative. I'm a liberal. Just stuck on stupid.
Okay.
So in order to make things right, then I think it's some people would never sit down with me, and we probably agree on a lot of stuff. And we hear them calling on things, and I'm sure they're gonna jump on me now. I know Walsh is one guy. He jumps on me every day. He accused me of supporting Johnson, which I knew nothing about Johnson. Only thing I knew that he was elected by the majority of people, and again he'll be faced with on the ballot again. So that's the whole problem.
Well, okay.
I am concerned. I'm concerned what's happening in America, man. That's what
right.
I'm
But here's my question though. Let me ask this then. One of the things that's coming out of Minneapolis, that's coming out of Minnesota, that concerns me is the idea that Tim Walz was willing. He said something that I've been saying. He said they need, like you just said, cooler heads. They need to come together. And the problem is that when Tim Walz said, I will sit down with the president, people started protesting him and attacking him for wanting to have discussions. And I think that's a very dangerous precedent. This idea that even having the two sides come together and try to find a solution, that the people that are in Minneapolis are now attacking Tim Walz for wanting to try to find a solution. Instead, they said, no, there's no discuss. You do not talk to the other side. You know, we are going to do this. And that's sort of what's concerning me is even having discussions, which is the most productive thing you can do.
The whole thing is you have to beat them at the ballot box. Are you aware that in Florida they have a governor who now is a Democrat in the Florida, what's that big city in Florida?
Miami?
In Florida.
Miami? Yeah.
We have a first in history, made history. Cause people are sick and tired of it, and that's basically a red state. You know, we looking and saying, and I think I please those individuals who are Republicans who said, no, we're not going to take this. This is not right. But sometimes these people will go down with the ship knowing that they're going to drown. They say, oh, I don't care. There are some people who would not want to get on a plane with a left wing on it because they say, hey, you got a left wing on it, so we don't want to get on this plane, even though you got a right wing.
No, I understand. And people are upset, and I understand. All I'm asking for is I want to hear more plans going into this. I want to hear. Go ahead.
The plans were cooler heads.
Okay.
Like we talked about. Some people going to jump on Trump because Trump did the right thing to want to sit down and bring this thing to the end and stop playing. So all in all, when I come here, I mean, I don't come on this radio and say something that I don't know. I've already done research on what 2 or 3. And when I heard about what is Tulsi Gabbard, what is she going down there?
Well, you know, here's the thing though, Ron. You know what? When you start talking about that, you know what I started thinking about that night on CNN. That Mayor Rudy Clay and Mayor Tom McDermott were live on CNN. What did Mayor Tom accuse Rudy Clay of throwing election machines in Lake Michigan and all? I mean, again, this whole thing is that there are a lot of people. This is way before Trump, and there's a lot of people that just question our systems. Like, why does it take so long to count ballots? Why does this happen at 2 a.m.? There's a lot of questions about our system, and that's one of the things. Go ahead.
I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to ask you a question. I remember that situation with Rudy Clay and Tom McDermott. I remember that like yesterday. What it was, sometimes politicians will say, before they call in, they say, well, look, we got X amount of votes coming in from this area, and they have not been counted. And usually in Gary, Indiana, sometime, and I have to say that, the votes sometimes come in a little slow because they do a better job sometime in the county. They really do. And I'm just putting it. So right now, the situation with Rudy Clay, he withheld those things because he was supporting Hillary Clinton, I believe.
No, it's the other way around, right? Rudy was supporting Obama, right? And that was the primary, right? Yeah. So that's
Rudy was supporting Obama, right? And so as a result of that, I mean, it was like that Rudy was trying to see where these votes come from, and my understanding that a huge number was coming out of Gary, Indiana for Obama. And that's really he did what politicians do, okay?
Right, and again, that was two Democrats, though. Again, politicians are going to politic, right?
They two Democrats, but we have Democrats. Let's put it this way: you talk about. I mean, then I'm going to this. Epstein, Bill Clinton was involved with that Epstein thing. Now I'm tired of hearing about these Epstein guys. 6 million. How you gonna go through these things and find out? Bill Clinton was with him, and so was Donald Trump.
There was a lot of people, even some people from Indiana. I'm hearing were on the list. So I mean, again, that's a whole big thing. But the question is there ever going to be any accountability? You can have all the lists in the world. Is there ever, especially when you have sort of this, as I call it, sort of a mutual destruction of both parties because everybody's on that list. Is there ever going to be consequences?
Nobody's concerned about these pedophiles. Nobody's concerned about that. That's major to me.
Well, and so here's the thing, and I'll put this out. I've been thinking about this all weekend, and I want people's thoughts on this, is that, here, put it this way, Ron. If you use drugs and your dealer gets arrested, do you stop using drugs? You get what I'm saying? Just because Epstein went away, does that mean that all these people stopped doing this stuff? Or are there still people out there doing these things today and there's a new Epstein? Right? And that's the question. So let's leave it there, Ron, because Lynette wants to take a break. So I appreciate the call. But, I mean, that's something for all of you to think about that I hadn't really thought about until just now, is like this idea that just because Epstein went away, does that mean all of this stopped? Or are we going to find out in a few years there's a new Epstein? And that becomes the question, is are we going to let this keep going? And where is the accountability? I mean, again, I know a lot of people are like, where's the list? And a lot of people are tired of talking about it. But that's the question: is this something that continues, or did this whole thing die with Epstein? I don't know. So let's take a break. We'll be back. We got a bunch of callers waiting. We've got Haven House coming in at 7 o'clock. So we're going to power through some calls before then. So let's take a break. We'll be back with more after this.
Are you sausage curious?
Who's ready for Polish?
Big Frank Sausage has the very best Polish food in the region.
You had a mouthful of Big Frank sausage?
We have a full bar, dine-in, carry-out, delivery, and catering available.
I've had a mouthful of Big Frank sausage.
I've got a mouthful of Big Frank sausage.
219-378-9556. Smacznego i na zdrowie.
Who's ready for Polish?
High school basketball postseason is here, with the girls starting February 3rd and boys March 3rd. Be on every game for as low as $1,500. Sponsor local. Reach millions. Visit heartlandsportsnet.com today for more information. St. Nicholas Byzantine Catholic Church, located at 8103 Columbia Avenue in Munster, celebrates Divine Liturgy every Sunday at 9:30 a.m. We are Eastern Rite Catholics in union with the Pope, the Bishop of Rome. All Catholics who celebrate Divine Liturgy or Mass with us fulfill their Holy Day and Sunday obligations as they do in their own churches. Join us in person this coming Sunday to find out the beauty of a Byzantine Catholic Divine Liturgy at St. Nicholas Church.
For over 100 years, Roofers Local 26 has been keeping Northwest Indiana dry and safe. Since 1919, our highly trained members have built a reputation for skills, safety, and reliability. With a 4-year apprenticeship and certifications in OSHA safety, first aid, and CPR, we deliver quality you can trust. When you need roofing done right, choose Roofers Local 26, protecting what matters most for over a century. For more information, visit www.roofers26.com.
Hey, it is 6:43 here in the region. Chuck Pullen here in the studio. Bob is on assignment today, so it is just you and me and Lynette and the calls and our 7 o'clock Haven House guest. But in the meantime, let's take a look at traffic and weather. Here in Indiana, not much to report. Everything moving along on 8094, I-65, Toll Road, Skyway looking good. Bishop Ford looking good. Dan Ryan, little slow. Basically, 35th on in, usual traffic on the Dan Ryan. 80 looking good in Illinois, 294 looking good. I was on 294 over the weekend. That's basically, that construction's wrapping up. So 294 moving along well. So everything moving along well out that way. If you see anything, obviously, give us a call, 219-845-1100. How are things in the world of weather?
Good morning, everyone. Today we're at 23 degrees with highs of 28 and lows of 19. We're having a couple morning flurries, otherwise mostly cloudy and chilly. And then tomorrow on Tuesday, we'll be having highs of 26 and lows of 16. So it'll be mostly cloudy and cold. And Wednesday, we'll be having highs of 24 and lows of 11 with periods of clouds and sun with a flurry or two.
Okay, what's the latest on the groundhogs?
He saw his shadow.
Punxsutawney Phil did. So Punxsutawney Phil saw his shadow, which means, 6 more weeks of winter? 6 more weeks of politics and elections. Woodstock Willie at 7 o'clock. We'll find out if he agrees with Punxsutawney Phil. In the meantime, let's take your calls at 219-845-1100. Good morning, caller. You are on the air.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I know what kind of assignment Bob's on this morning.
Yeah, he's going to look for the groundhog.
No, he's out there in the forest cutting down trees to put in a fireplace to save on his NIPSCO bill.
I don't blame him.
I no sports to watch this weekend, and I'm kind of keeping I got more time now to do stuff, but I did go out to
them people protesting out there at 167th Street NIPSCO place yesterday.
Yeah, what were your thoughts? How did it go?
Well, I went out there. One person approached me right away. When I was walking to it, one came and then walked back, and we walked back a little bit, and then I stuck around just enough, and then a few people recognized me, and we were talking, and then, but the funniest part about it is they have, Hammond was there with security, and I'm walking up, and I was going to say hi to him, and the first thing out of his mouth was to me, looks in the sky, he says, "Oh, there's the drone guy."
Yeah.
Well, he knows who I am. He knows who I am. But I talked to a few people out there, and they're basically they're feeling like me, and probably going to be a lot of others.
Right.
Just like Frank Mervan right now. I read an article that he's trying to help the farmers and the agriculture with the federal government, la-di-da-da. Well, that big, stupid, dumb, dingbat data center that they want to build in Hobart is farmland, okay? Why isn't our dingbat Congressman Frank Mervan going to fight against that? Is he gonna get off his lazy butt out of Washington, come back to Indiana, and stay here and take care of that matter and not let that data center build? People don't want it. Our useless Congressman Frank Mervan is not sticking up to the people in Northwest Indiana, and what a lot of people said to me at that protest yesterday is midterm elections coming up. We're going to vote our pocketbook. The ones that are in office right now are not fighting to do anything about this. Because pretty soon when you go to Wendy's to get the $5 biggie bag, you're going to pay $10. Everything's going to go up.
I was at the dollar store. I was at the $1.25 store. Now it's a $1.50 store. It's like, man, how'd that happen?
Yeah, and things, and then the wonderful Democrats. Oh yeah. Well, okay, somebody was subpoenaed for not showing up and went to jail. Well, Hillary and Bill Clinton got subpoenaed, and they're not going to show up. I'm waiting to see them. I'm waiting to see Waltz. I'm waiting to see Fry. All of them get subpoenaed, and I can't wait till the day they go to jail. Because I'm sick of them. That they caused the problem in our country. Right now, I'm going to shut up about that. But, the groundhog, winter's going to say. But now, wonderful Tom Daverton down in Florida, he's going to have freezed orange juice. He's going to have to let it thaw.
I saw the iguanas. That's the big news. The iguanas are falling out of the trees and all that. They had a pile of iguanas.
Oh, yeah. But, it was an interesting protest out there. Now, Wednesday they have the big one out there in Maryville.
Right.
And then next Saturday they have the town hall meeting at the Union Carpenters 41 from 1 to 3. So, all of us, because I talked to a few people that they're on a fixed income.
Right.
And they're just barely making it, and now their bill went up. And they got to let go of this. They got to let go of that.
And remember, though, Mike, is that it's going to affect your NIPSCO bill. But we'll see if Stan calls in later from Big Frank's. He was on the Channel 2 News talking about his NIPSCO bill. That's also going to get passed along to you. All of the local businesses that have a higher NIPSCO bill, that is eventually going to get passed along to the consumer as well. So even if you say, okay, well, my NIPSCO bill went up, I can afford that now. Like you said, the food and going to the store is going to go up, and it's just going to continue to go up. And, I wonder where the breaking point is for a lot of people. Maybe you're already there. I don't know. What is it?
Yeah.
What is it going to take for everybody to say, but here's the problem, Mike. Let me, real quick, and I'll let you finish. The problem that I still see, even in like the NIPSCO Facebook group and stuff, is that these people are still saying, well, the Republicans, well, the Democrats, like, no, you got, this is the problem, that everybody, as soon as you start going, well, Trump this and Biden that, and that, the argument's over. We're not going to come together if all you guys want to do is go Trump this and Biden that and, whatever. We need to say, look, it doesn't matter. Everybody's responsible. Like I said, I preach about this debt. This $38 trillion, both parties are responsible. You can blame whoever all day long. Everybody Everybody was responsible for putting us in the position we are now. And you got to stop with this left-right stuff and go, look, we all are, everybody, I don't care how you vote, we're all getting the same NIPSCO bill. Our cost of goods is everybody's cost of goods. You don't get a break because you're Republican. You don't get a break because you're Democrat. You need to stop all that, and we need to come together and go, look, we're done playing this game. We're done playing this game. We need to start looking at getting our fiscal house in order.
Yeah, it's just like, like you just said, the left, the right, the middle, everybody, Democrats, Republicans, over here in Northwest Indiana need to get their butt together and stick together and get this situation straightened out with NIPSCO.
And that's the thing. We need to come together. You need to put the politics aside. I said it's not a bipartisan issue. It's a nonpartisan issue. You guys need to come together. And I don't care if your neighbor's wearing a red hat or you're, whatever. You got to stop all this and you got to come together. And that's the only way you're going to win. And I've been telling everybody in the NIPSCO group, stop it with the left-right stuff. It's got to be, you all got to come together and work together on this. Otherwise, it's going to fall apart. I've seen it too many times where one side takes over the cause and it falls apart and the other half walks away. You got to stop with the politics and just focus on the fact that your neighbors are hurting. Your neighbors, it's affecting people. They're hurting. We need to do something, and it can't be the left-right blame game as usual. Otherwise, it's going to fall apart. So
yeah,
hey, Mike,
it's just like,
go ahead and finish up because we got to go.
Yeah, just like I've been doing my surveys, and I'm thinking maybe 3 months from now, my breakfast survey is going to be double the price because the restaurants are going to have to raise their prices because they got to pay all that.
Right. And as I'm saying, is that hasn't reached you yet. That's going to happen as the restaurants open their NIPSCO bills and say we got to raise our rates, we got to raise our prices because these NIPSCO bills they're going to pass. So you're not even done. The pain isn't over yet. You're going to start feeling more pain, like you said, when you go to the restaurant.
Yeah.
So, okay, finish up, Mike.
Pretty soon we ain't gonna. Yeah, pretty soon we all ain't gonna go out for breakfasts no more because it's cheaper to go to a grocery store, but then the grocery stores are going to jack their prices up.
Well,
so
then you got to go home and cook that.
Way.
You got to come home and cook, and you got to use gas to cook. So, I mean, it's a no-win situation. But again, you make a perfect point: is that people are going to stop going out. They're going to stop having discretionary funds to go out to dinner, to go do entertainment, and that's going to affect our local economy. That's going to put small businesses out of business. So, go ahead, wrap up, and then we got to go.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to let you go because I'm that way, but everybody just due to the weather and just remember, winter's going to be over when winter wants to be over. Okay?
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
Perfect. Okay. You have a good day.
Yep. Have a good day.
Okay. Hit the button, Lynette, and then bring in the next caller. Can you go get the door for me? Go bring in the next caller, and then we'll get the door. So good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Chuck. How are you,
I'm
sir?
good. How are you?
I'm really enjoying all this kumbaya this morning. Let's come together.
Am I wrong? Tell me where I'm wrong.
Well, I needed to call in because I needed to, refute some of the blatant BS from the proud city of Gary coming in today. Okay. Tulsi Gabbard is in Fulton County, Georgia now because she's got enough evidence to prosecute those people. And that's what's got to happen in order for all this graft, corruption, everything we've been seeing happening in Minneapolis and the Somali Leering Center and all that kind of stuff. It's because no one's prosecuted these people. And that's what has to happen. She's a former Democrat herself, Ron. So you said it yourself. We all got to come together. Well, she's a leftist. She's a Democrat. She came together under the MAGA banner, and she's prosecuting people who stole an election, supposedly.
But, Mont, here's the question,
they're going to find it out.
Here's the thing about Fulton County. Half of this country is going to go, that's great, you're finding corruption. The other half is going to go, there's Trump being a tyrant again, going after people.
Chuck,
go ahead.
When they arrested a former president and went through his first lady's underwear drawer, what did people say? Well, we've got to find out if it's true, right?
Right. Half of the people did.
Half of
the people did, and that's the problem.
This other half is going after people who are corrupt. I want to, You had Walt tell you about a book that he's been reading. I got to tell you a book called The Invisible Coup by Peter Schweitzer.
Okay, it's on my list.
Highly recommend anybody out there listening to that, okay, or reading it.
Okay.
You can go back to President Obama, who allowed 1 million people into this country, didn't vet them, didn't care that they didn't speak English, didn't care that they had, criminal histories. He just let them in. The reason why? Because 80% of them were going to vote Democrat. That's why. So first of all, why is an illegal immigrant voting, in this country anyway when they're not allowed to vote? It's that kind of stuff that's been happening. No one's been prosecuting them. Mayorkas was deep involved in Obama's and Clinton's campaigns involving all this. You should read Invisible Coup, Chuck. It'll open your eyes. This is not just some simple thing. This is La Raza saying we're going to reconquista Southwest United States. And that's the president of Mexico said that. People in the elite people in the hierarchy of Mexican government are saying this stuff. And someone like Ron, who is just blithely spouting Democratic Party politics, his race is actually being the most impacted negatively by this open border policy. And I really wish he would open his eyes and see that. I'm sorry I didn't play along with your kumbaya moment this morning.
Okay,
Chuck,
but here's the question, though.
I had to vet.
Here's my concern. I believe it was Mayor Frey in Minneapolis over the weekend, I forget who. Well, maybe it was Tim Walz that basically called what's happening in Minneapolis with ICE a Fort Sumter moment. I mean, there's a lot of people that are starting to talk like that. The Fort Sumter, bloody Kansas. There's a lot of people, and my concern is that both sides are going to push.
Who are the a lot of people? Are they left or right?
They're mostly. Well, you know what? It's both sides at this point. I watch a lot of of conservative.
Well, they're going to go along in history just like the South did. We're going to win this thing in 2 weeks. All bravado, and they're going to lose it, and they're going to lose their entire culture if they go into civil war, because there's a bunch of us out here who are just waiting for the first shots to be fired.
Right, but I mean, also in to that point, a lot of innocent Americans are going to get hurt in the process, and we're going to do a lot of damage that will take a long time to repair. And that's my concern. Is that maybe we are too far gone. I don't know. Maybe that's where where we're destined.
A lot of Americans have been hurt, Chuck, by open border policies that have not been. Like, why have the Republicans never slammed shut the border until Donald Trump came to the presidency? Because they were benefiting too. You're right. Both parties suck, and I will be the first one to tell you that. We need to start prosecuting people, follow our laws, and start prosecuting people.
No, I don't disagree.
I'm sorry.
But that's the whole thing. Is will that investigative process by itself be what triggers this? We'll just call. I'm not going to use the big word. I'm just going to say this civil strife. How about that? I mean, that's my concern. Is that we're heading down a path of civil strife because of a lot of it's the media. There was somebody is basically like, who's egging us on? It's the media. It's the radicals on both sides that are pushing people to their breaking point. And that's my concern, is that we are getting to a point of no return, and I don't know how we bring this back. Everybody keeps saying cooler heads and temperature down, but then the next day they're yelling Fort Sumter. So, I mean, how I don't know how to reconcile that. I don't know what to make of all this. I really don't. And I really hope that we don't do something that we regret, and it takes us down a path that we can't come back from. We'll leave it at that. So I got to take some other calls, Mott. I appreciate your wisdom as always. You have a good one. Good. Let's power through some calls, and we got to take a break. So good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Chuck.
How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I am just trying to make sense of the world, just like I am every Monday.
Hey, how dare Mont Hanley come with facts? How dare he?
So, to my point, though, understand my point, that what's happening in Minneapolis, what's happening in Fulton County, no matter what happens, half of this country is not going to accept it as fact, right? And so you've got two sides. One side does something. The other side says that's not reality. You're a tyrant. All that stuff. What is going to happen is that those two sides are going to clash in our streets, and things are going to happen that we can't take back. And that's my concern right now. is that that people are going to push us too far, and things are going to start happening that we're going to regret. Am I off base there? And
No,
by the
you're
way,
not.
it is 7
Fulton
o'clock
County.
here in the region. You're listening to AM 1230, 104.7 FM in beautiful Hammond, Indiana.
Fulton County, law enforcement officials were handed ballots and told to take them out and hand them to anybody they could and then collect them. That's it. That's my point on that. Did Ron Matlock say nobody cares about the pedophiles and then say that he doesn't want ICE in Minneapolis?
Well, is that what he said? I mean, again,
That's
there is
my
sort of this.
recollection of that call this morning.
There is this sort of, now we've been talking about the Epstein files for so long. There is sort of this like, okay, we're tired of hearing about it, but we never really got anywhere with it, right? So it's kind of this weird thing where it's, and to my point earlier was, that happened 15, 20 years ago, but is it still happening? And that's what, again, we can come together and agree that we should be looking into this and saying, is this still happening today or is it not? Maybe it never happened. I don't know. That's the question. Right now, today, is it still happening?
And it would appear that Epstein had underage girls.
Right.
Totally wrong.
Right. We agree there.
Victims, and yes, people involved in that should be prosecuted.
Right.
But do we not think that in Minneapolis, some of the people that ICE is going after are pedophiles? But Ron Matlock says he doesn't want ICE in Minneapolis. So let me get this straight. Ron Matlock is all for pedophilia in Minneapolis. Ron Matlock is all... Hold on.
Go ahead.
Ron Matlock is all for females that have been raped and killed by illegals because ICE is going after them as well, right?
Okay.
So what's the deal, Ron? When do you want our laws to be enforced, Ron Matlock?
Are you coming in? Okay. Okay. Well, that's a question for Ron. And if he wants to call back, and you guys can have that conversation. But I do need to wrap up because I got guests here, and we need to talk. We need to move on. But go ahead.
Tell me you are against children being victimized.
Yes, absolutely. And every single person in this, every reasonable person in this country is against that. And that's the question that we need. Can we at least come together on that topic? Hopefully so. Hopefully we all can do that.
And you're against women being raped and murdered, yes?
Yes, and everybody's against that, yes.
And if it were happening in Lake County, Indiana, and ICE came in, you would be all for them going after these people that are doing it.
And again, that becomes the question is, again, going back to what are the tactics, what is the rules of engagement? There's a lot of bigger questions that aren't being answered on both sides. And again, that goes back to the idea that both sides refuse to come together and have conversations about what is going to be policy and protocol to do this. And that's the problem. And that's what I would like to see. Go ahead.
The bottom line is, are you for our law enforcement protecting women and
yes,
children?
I am for law. Yes, sounds like I am for laws. Yes, I'm for laws, and I'm for protecting women and children. Yes, and I think most people are.
Because it sounds like Ron Matlock is all for these people being
well, and
victimized.
I don't want to speak for Ron.
He wants.
No, I mean, again, if that's for that. You guys can debate that in the next hour. So I got to wrap up because I got a guest. So we'll pick this up in a few minutes. I apologize. We got one other caller. Tell them to call back later. I apologize. We'll take you next. Let's take a break. We'll be back with more. We've got Haven House here, and we'll be talking about that here in a few minutes on WGOB.
For over 140 years, the Central Midwest Carpenters have built our communities in Northwest Indiana. Are you ready to join the effort? We have long-term work, competitive pay, and the best benefits in the industry. We pride ourselves on innovative training and commitment to worksite safety. Earn as you learn as an apprentice. A solid career built on a solid legacy. For more info, go to carpenters.com.
Looking for a place to enjoy great food and great games? Head to Doc's Barbecue in Dyer. Indulge in Southern-style hickory smoked meats served in a fun, welcoming atmosphere. Want to catch the latest local Jet TV basketball games? Just ask and they'll have it on one of their 15 big screen TVs. Whether you're here for the food, the fun, or the hoops, Doc's has something for everyone. Stop by Doc's Smokehouse on Calumet Avenue in Dyer, where flavor and sports come together.
For a fast and friendly car wash, go to Easy Clean Car Wash. Open 7 days a week in 4 convenient locations: Highland, Griffith, Cherville, and Lansing. Free vacuuming, air freshener, and a towel with every wash. It's fast, safe, and gentle. For more information and hours of all our locations, visit myeasyclean.com. Also, see how you can wash your car daily with our $10 Ultimate Wash for only $19.99 per month. Give your car the best clean at Easy Clean Car Wash.
Tell the folks where they can find the French Room.
Fridays, 3 to 5 Central.
And where can they listen?
On WJOB, AM 1230, 104.7 FM.
I believe those are the radio people. Who the hell's that?
I have no idea. But you could listen worldwide on TuneIn.com or watch on JetTV.com.
Get your Jet TV. The Front Room.
With Marla Kubik. Variety, sometimes at its finest.
Hey, it is 7:08 in the region. Let's take a quick look at traffic and weather, and then I'll introduce our guests. So taking a look at traffic here in Indiana, things looking good. 80, 94, 65, Skyway Toll Road, all that fun stuff. The only real trouble spot right now is inbound Bishop Ford to the Dan Ryan on in. So looks like the typical, Bishop Ford slow down at the merge, and then the Dan Ryan all the way into downtown. Other than that, 294 looking well, everything looking around 80, everything else looking well. Just normal Monday morning traffic into the city. Other than that, things moving along well. How are things in the world of weather? How are our friends, the groundhogs, doing? What are they saying?
Good morning, everyone. Today we're at 23 degrees with highs of 28 and lows of 19. We'll be having a couple morning flurries, otherwise mostly cloudy and chilly. And then tomorrow on Tuesday we'll be having highs of 26 and lows of 16. Should be mostly cloudy and cold. And then Wednesday we'll be having highs of 24 and lows of 11 with periods of clouds and sun with a flurry or two.
Fantastic, thank you. So I was checking. Did we find out what did Woodstock Willie see at 7 o'clock? Do we know yet? Did you find that?
I have not checked
Well,
yet.
we'll have to find out. We're seeing what the groundhogs are up to today. So I've got guests from Haven House. Good. Why don't you introduce yourself, and let me adjust this while we go. Go ahead.
Got it. I am Carrie Greer. I am the Executive Director of Haven House.
And you, sir, who are you?
I am David Gehrman, the president of Haven House and board member for, this is my 14th year.
Welcome to both of you. Thank you for joining me this morning. So we're going to be talking about your fundraiser coming up. One of my favorite sports, bowling. So one of the safest sports. I've never heard of anybody like pulling an ACL or anything like that bowling. So like that's my go-to sport. But I was telling you guys over the break, we're trying to get the politics out of the way so we could talk about this issue. But one of the things, so tell us a little bit about Haven House. What do you do? What's your purpose? What's your mission?
We are a domestic violence shelter here in Hammond. We were formed in 1983, so we've been around 40 plus years. We have 20 beds in our shelter, and we accept women and men, because we know men are also victims. So people currently fleeing from domestic violence with their children. And we provide them with everything while they are in the shelter, from food to hygiene products, everything you use on a daily basis. We supply to our residents in the shelter free of charge, and our services are strictly confidential as well.
So I want to ask this question because, I mean, obviously we were talking today about NIPSCO and all these things going on in the world. The cost of living goes up. And one of the things that I assume is that when we have issues with the economy, when things aren't going well, we tend to have more people have reached their breaking points, and sometimes they turn to alcohol, sometimes they turn to different things. And so my assumption would be when things get tough in this country, you see an increase as well. Would that be accurate?
Oh, absolutely. I'm not going to say it's seasonal because we have clients. So we bring victims of domestic violence and their dependents and their children. So, and it's when it starts getting really hot, you see that when the holidays, right?
Oh,
so
right.
it's very cyclical, and there's a figure on top there, which is somewhat of a daunting figure. Our expenditures every month, right? And now add 300 to that, do the extended NIPSCO.
So you got NIPSCO bills just like everybody else.
Just like everybody else,
right.
Yes.
So one of the things that I try to talk about is, I mean, obviously, there's a lot going on in the country right now, and a lot of people are, they're getting upset. They're looking for things to do. And again, I always say is that there's not a lot that I can do about what's happening in Washington. There's not a lot, even if you talk about Minneapolis or anything, there's not a lot I can do about that. But what I can do is if I'm looking to help somebody, I can help locally. And that's one of the things. We have so many great local charities. Yours is one of them, where a lot of people are just like, they have this energy. It's like, what can I do with it? I can help locally, right? And I mean, I'm one of the people I've always talked about, sort of, I have questions about national charities and how they're run and where their money goes, but we always know if you keep your money local into local charities, you literally know, you literally can meet the people and see where the money's going. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I always try to promote local charities, because we know your money staying local is being used local. I assume neither of you are getting a multi-million-dollar salary or anything like that, right? So
exactly. Yeah. Matter of fact, our board is a strictly volunteer board.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So, and I want to thank you and your wife, Amy. You've been very gracious over the years as well, and you're absolutely right. We could sympathize for all the things going on around the world, but what Carrie and I concentrate on, what's going on in Northwest Indiana, and it's definitely needed. I wish it wasn't, but it is, and we can jump into our fundraiser, which is going to be one of our largest fundraisers of the year. But I do want Carrie to go. Carrie took a little leave of absence, then came back, and she has compiled, I'm just so proud of her, she has compiled a staff that is absolutely amazing. I've been there 14 years. It's one of the most cohesive, hardest working staff I've seen at Haven House. So I have to thank you for compiling and putting that together.
Thank you. Thank you for trusting me.
Yeah.
So what else? So tell us a little bit about, so what does that look like? I mean, obviously we think about somebody needs a place to stay, but also there's a lot of maybe some PTSD. There's some trauma to work out. They're maybe in the middle of working through a divorce. There's a lot going on besides that. How do all those pieces come together?
Good.
Yeah, we have a residential manager. She is strictly pretty much our case manager, so she works with our residents as soon as they walk into the shelter. So she's working with them to do resources, referrals. She's amazing. She's been with us, I think we've figured out 14, 15 years at this point. Everything from knowing who to call at the schools to get the kids enrolled in school locally, WIC, FSSA, she knows exactly where everybody needs to go for those things. But she works with people on setting goals, making sure that when they come in, they have some goals in order to get employment. Childcare is really questionable at this time just because there's not childcare vouchers. So that is something that is really impacting our survivors. And then just working with our shelter advocates who are there 24/7. We have somebody in the shelter 24/7. Sometimes we have people who do, as you said, have PTSD, and they wake up in the middle of the night and they come down at 3 o'clock in the morning and need somebody to talk to. So there is always a staff member who is there for them to talk to. We had over 1,000 crisis calls last year, so that is the first contact people make with our shelter, and that is those calls are answered by our shelter advocates. So they go through a pending intake with them, trying to figure out what our best resources, referrals. If we're not able to bring them into the shelter, we always try to make sure that they get at least one resource or referral for them, and then bringing them into the shelter, making sure that they have everything they need from the moment they walk in. Like I said, we provide them with hygiene products, some clothing. We don't have a lot of space, so we don't take a lot of clothing donations, but our Amazon wish list is always open, and it's linked on our webpage for those things that we do need.
And what is our webpage?
It is havenhousedvs.org.
Chuck, you talk about that breaking point, and everyone has it for whatever reason, right? But when a victim of domestic violence reaches that breaking point and makes that decision, most of the time they have usually less than 5 minutes, right? And whatever they can put in a hefty bag, they bring. Right. And Carrie, when we used to have our regular show, and I cannot believe we're back here at the scene of the crime in the studio. It's
the new old new studio.
Yeah, exactly. And she has some just great ideas. If you know someone that is at that break, and we all know someone, so 1 out of every 6 people are some sort of victim of domestic violence, be it physical or verbal, to have that go bag with your identification, your checkbook, everything you need to be able to create a bank account. And a lot of times victims have been isolated, and that their abuser, takes their driver's license, takes their checkbook, takes their credit cards, that they're fully dependent on the abuser. So to have one of the things, and it's that last second that you make that decision, and these are hard things to think about, but if you plan, if you're in a tough situation, just make sure you have your identification, maybe a credit card if you have one, all that pertinent information. And if you're bringing children, they have their information as well. It's easy for me to sit here and say that, right? But when you make that decision, it's it's a panic situation, and you just can't remember everything like that. Your main goal is just to get out to be safe.
Okay, so let's talk about the fundraiser. So let's start there. So you've got a fundraiser Saturday, February 21st at Plaza Lane. So tell people about this. So what are you looking for from people here?
Well, there's we're looking for sponsorship. It's a fundraiser. So we're here to raise funds, of course. And in the past, we haven't had it for a few years. In the past, one of our bowl-a-thon, we call it, has been one of the most rewarding financially for us. So what we're looking for, you can be a sponsor, a lane sponsor for $1,000. You have it right there in front of you. You could also be a food and beverage sponsor. Those are usually $500. We get those quite a bit, and it is, we're coming into the silly season. It's an election year for the midterms, and what I want to emphasize, the local businesses, be it all the local credit unions, Tech and Notre Dame and Federal and all the regional. And all the businesses, attorneys, and this is an opportunity to be able to give back. And you said it so well, Chuck. You know exactly where it's going, and maybe what you can do right on the top there. What our monthly fixed cost is, it's over $45,000 a month, and that's to be able to run the house, to be able to pay our employees, and to take care of all the victims that come in and their dependents. So it's very, very important. So we want to make it fun, right? And so you can come out and bowl. You could bring your family out. You're looking at, it's $50 per person. That includes food and coffee and soda. There is a cash bar. If you want to come and have some food and just enjoy yourself, then that's $40 per person. You can be a lane sponsor for $1,000. That gives you a full lane of bowlers. Honorable mention on our website and at the event, which is nice. And it's going to be we're going to have 50-50 raffle. We're going to have raffle baskets. We're going to have one of the biggest fun, most profitable is we have a wagon full of microbrews, and we have another wagon full of wine. And historically, those have been some of the tickets, some of the best sellers. So there's so many different ways. And let's say, hey, David, I can't afford it, or I'm doing something that night, and I can't afford $1,000 sponsor to sponsor a lane, or even a $500 food and beverage sponsor. Put a raffle basket together, something like that. We'll take a raffle basket, and those they do generate a tremendous amount of money. It's the kind you buy the tickets, you throw it in you throw it in the bucket in front of it, and we will have a silent auction item as well. So yeah, I'm proud to be part of the organization. I have to thank Brent Brazier at Doc's Barbecue. He's going to put another raffle basket together. We're actually going to either do a live auction on that one. Or a silent auction. That's not something you're going to be able to buy tickets for, because he usually puts a really, really nice basket together. He did for our 40th anniversary gala as well, so I want to thank Brent at Doc's Barbecue. He's always been very supportive of Haven House. So come on out and have a great time.
So let's mention that website, havenhousedvs.org.
Correct.
Havenhousedvs.org. The other thing I was going to talk about was obviously, donations are important, but also, like, for instance, I had a friend who passed away. My first phone call was to Dave. I said, I got a bunch of stuff. How can I help? Do you guys, so let's talk about that. Even, do you need, like, for instance, maybe, do you take interns like from Purdue or anything like that? How else can people help besides the usual, obviously money's important, but other ways that people don't think about, how can they help you?
And this is where the boss takes over.
Go ahead.
Yes, we welcome interns. We actually have 2 interns currently from St. Joseph's College, Cal College. So they are amazing. So we have in the past had interns from Purdue, Northwest, as well as IUN. So if anybody is listening that knows that they have to do an internship coming up here soon, give us a call, reach out to us, email us. We will always welcome people coming in and doing internships. We also do have volunteer opportunities, and that's you can just give us an email. And we do have federal guidelines, however, that we do have to do background checks and things like that, because we do have children in the shelter. So that is why we need applications, and so we have to do background checks. Items, we do, again, our shelter is very small, so sometimes we get people who, they're clearing out, somebody unfortunately has passed away and they're trying to clear out things. So that would be talking to our house manager, Luz, who is in charge of all of our donations. She knows exactly what we need, exactly how much space we have, but we always welcome people who are wanting to donate any items. Again, our website, havenhousedvs.org, has our Amazon wish list on it. We do work very closely with Hearts in Motion. If somebody is wanting to donate items that we cannot accept, we will work with Hearts in Motion. We also have vouchers, so we can send our residents to Hearts in Motion and they don't have to spend their own money to get items. So sometimes we aren't able to accept those clothing donations, but we'll send our residents to Hearts in Motion with those vouchers.
And we've had that relationship with Hearts in Motion for a long, long time. Again, it goes back to your whole life is in a small bag. Right? And to be able to go to Hearts in Motion and get whatever you need for yourself and your children, it's a big deal. It's a great organization, and it's local, it's close, and we utilize them quite a bit. We also have a Facebook page, because I know the next thing you were going to ask, Chuck, is where do I buy the tickets? Right. So yeah, you can go to Eventbrite and just put in Haven House, or you can go to our Facebook page and get them there. So we're just about 50% full. That's why we wanted to come out now. And come on out and get to meet all of us. And just, the money is staying local. It is staying in Hammond, Indiana. It's not going anywhere else. And maybe we could explain, we just don't service people from Northwest Indiana or in Northeastern Illinois. We get people from Florida that'll call. They're going to relocate up here.
Oh, wow.
So you get some of the stores, and we're responsible for their transportation. So we will actually get a voucher and put them on, if they would say, I want to go back to Kentucky or Ohio or whatever, we'll put them on a bus and get them back home or wherever their safe place is.
Okay.
We, as David said, we obviously people are trying to flee and trying to get as far away as possible. So we have had people from Colorado call. We've had people from Georgia in the shelter. Minnesota, even before everything that was going on, not to get political, a lot of people calling from Minnesota. We've also had a lot of people from Idaho who have tried to go back to Idaho. I don't know why, but those are the main states that people have been calling us from. We do get a ton of phone calls from people from Chicago. So because we are on the state line, we try to service people as much as possible. We have paid for not plane tickets, because that's usually very expensive, but we've done buses, we've done trains. We Uber people to other shelters Uber people to us. We do work kind of closely with the other shelters in the area. Sometimes somebody's abuser, unfortunately, has found where they are, and so we need to work with our other shelters in the area to get them away from where the abuser has found them. So we do have those relationships with St. Jude, the Caring Place, Stepping Stones, and then the shelter in Rensselaer as well. So we try to collaborate as much as possible. Community partners as well. We have Pillars of Wellness come in once a week and do a mental health group with our residents. So we try to make sure that we're servicing as much as possible and utilizing community partners as well. Again, Hearts in Motion, Pillars of Wellness. We work with the Aliveness Project as well. So there are a variety of different collaborations that we also have.
Yeah, a lot of programs coming in. We have financial literacy. Again, being alienated from your family and all financials, just from a control standpoint, financial literacy classes, helping people out, getting them on their feet and getting them forward, getting them well. We also, a small part of our charter is homeless. And that's been one of the most difficult things we've been working on, because the majority of homeless, there's psychological.
That's a big.
There's psychological issues, and that is beyond our scope.
Right.
We don't have the capability of doing that.
So Dave, whenever we talk about Haven House, what I think about? I think about Mr. Rogers. Remember Mr. Rogers said, "Find the helpers."
Right. Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And one of the things that goes kind of unappreciated is that there are all these great services, great organizations such as yours that people don't think about until they need it.
Right.
And then it becomes a big part of their life.
Yeah, we're working on also legacy gifts. Right. If your loved one says, "Hey, I've always loved Haven House," we've had several large legacy gifts over the years, and there's these anonymous donors that are $50 a week.
Yeah.
For they've been doing that forever.
Wow.
And so it's things like that. It really warms your heart. But if you know someone that is thinking about getting their affairs together, because it's inevitable, none of us are getting out of this alive, right? So there is legacy gifts you can. We could plan for that. If you want to give something to Haven House and know where it's going, we can do that. We can set you up with that as well.
Fantastic. So let's remind people. So Saturday, February 21st at Plaza Lanes, go to havenhousedvs.org, and you can sponsor a lane. You can go bowling. If you haven't been bowling in a while, go bowling. It's a lot of fun. Take your kids. I go every week. I enjoy it. Lynette, you a bowler?
I'm not.
Let's put together a WGLB bowling team. Why don't you guys all go? You guys can go out and see if anybody at WGLB is a good bowler.
It's fun.
It is fun.
We keep it fun. Again, it is a fundraiser, so bring your checkbook or your debit card. And, we'll have 50-50 raffles. We'll have the raffle baskets. We'll have the wine and beer wagon.
And say, bid on the wine wagon for me. We'll split it.
Exactly.
I'll go in halves on that.
A lot of people do that. We'll have tips. We'll have all those things like that. And it's fun, considering what Carrie does every single day, what we've been doing, right? Do I wish we didn't have domestic violence? Of course. But I'm also grateful for Haven House being there for a lot of people. And hopefully what I want to do, and when it's my time to step aside and let someone else do this, that I think it's our job to get it prepared for the next 40 years.
Right.
And then that's really what my goal is.
Well, fantastic. Thank you guys both for dedicating your time to this. HavenHouseDVS.org. You better go out there and go bowling. It'll be a lot of fun.
Go to Eventbrite and go to our Facebook page and purchase some tickets and come out and have some fun and walk up and introduce yourself. I look forward to meeting everyone.
Absolutely. All of you that call in regularly, put your money where your mouth is. You guys can go get a lane and argue. You guys can go debate over there. Have a debate about politics and bowl and have a good time and have a good fun.
That's one thing. And you mentioned, and thanks for not getting into the political realm, because domestic violence does not discriminate.
And it
Exactly.
doesn't. No, right. So, okay. So we're going to go. Thank you guys so much for coming.
Thank you. Thanks,
I appreciate it.
Thank you, Carol.
We'll be back with more
Lynette?
after this.
Thank you.
If you're thinking of finishing your basement, installing outdoor security cameras, or your business has plans to break ground on a new project in 2024, Powering Indiana, Lake County is your source for the region's best electricians. With IBEW, Local 697 electricians, you're choosing the highest level of safety and reliability. Visit poweringindiana.org today and ensure your project is in the hands of skilled professionals.
Have you ever considered becoming an iron worker? Local 395 is now accepting applications for their apprenticeship program. Go to ironworkers395.com. Look under the training section, click on apprenticeship, and scroll down to the application. You must be 18 years old, have a high school diploma or GED, and you must be physically able to perform the work of the trade. Find out more by calling the apprenticeship school in Lake Station at 219-962-7675 or visit ironworkers395.com.
Do you like to work with your hands, creating something from nothing? Then think about Laborers Local 41. You'll get 432 hours of apprenticeship training, all while earning a wage with benefits and incurring no student debt. You'll travel to different job sites, learn tons of skills, and in a lot of cases, be the first one on and the last one off a job site. It all starts at laborers41.com.
7:32.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I was just checking the traffic. 7:32 here in the region. Thank you guys for sticking around and listening to Haven House. Again, it's one of those organizations that you don't think about until you need it, or somebody you know needs an organization like that. And thanks to Dave and Carrie and everybody in that group for being around and doing that, because it takes a lot of emotional capital to deal with stuff like that. I know my wife deals with some stuff like that, and I appreciate anybody that's willing to do that, because it takes helping other people like that takes a toll on you as well, and it takes a toll on your family, because there's a lot that those emotions can get to you. So anyway, let's move on. Traffic's looking good here in the region. 80, 94, 65, Skyway Toll Road, everything looking good. On this side, we've got building traffic on the Dan Ryan's. Dan Ryan's looking a little heavy, Skyway on in. So you've got Bishop Ford, 57, slow at the merge. And then things are looking tight. Skyway on into the city. Same with the other highways into the city. Everybody's looking like a Monday morning commute. 294 around the city looking good. Everything else looking good in Illinois. You just have the usual heading downtown traffic. How are things in the weather world?
Good morning, everyone. Today we're at 24 degrees with highs of 28 and lows of 19. We're having a couple morning flurries, otherwise mostly cloudy and chilly. And then tomorrow and Tuesday we'll be having highs of 26 and lows of 16. Should be mostly cloudy and cold. And then Wednesday we'll be having highs of 24 and lows of 11 with periods of clouds and sun with a flurry or two.
Okay, so Woodstock Willie did not see his shadow. So Punxsutawney Phil did see his shadow. Woodstock Willie did. So we'll have to see. We'll have to wait 6 weeks and find out which one of those is the better prognosticator, as they say. So I'm as shocked as the rest of you. I thought for sure they would both see their shadows. So, okay, do we have calls coming in?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's take some calls. I appreciate you guys sticking around. Let's take some calls. Good morning, caller, on the air.
I enjoyed that with Dave Gearman in there. I am also a brother's keeper in Gary, Indiana, and what he's doing, I intend to be at his event to give some money as opposed to just bopping my gum. I think it's tremendous, so I'm certainly going to give him a sizable thing because, like I say, I've been on board of Brothers Keepers they mainly deal with men, though, Brothers Keeper in Gary.
Right.
And I don't know if they take clothing. I've had a lot of clothing, suits and stuff. I gained a little weight. I can't wear them. So sometimes shoes and stuff, I need to clean out my closet. I can't put no more in there.
So they work with Hearts in Motion. So if you have, like, for instance, if somebody passes away and you have, some good cookware, silverware, that kind of stuff, or like you said, you have some clothes that might be of use, especially like for kids, they can always use that. But Hearts in Motion, so they work with them to make sure that people get the stuff they need if they need to, restart their life, essentially.
That's the thing that I like about Dave Gearman. He's here, lives in my community, and he basically cares for his community. But he's in Hammond. It doesn't matter what he's doing in Hammond with the Haven House. I'm going to support that too because and Hammond is a part of Northwest Indiana. We should be all together and not fighting against one another. And lastly, here, let me just say to. You said I could respond to.
Yeah.
He never complained about the insurrection. If anything was worse than the insurrection, I don't know what was. Let him say, and those people were let out. So that was worse than what's happening in Minnesota. That insurrection, when you overthrow the government, that's terrible. And that's around there. See, Donald Trump, I had to put that at his doorstep. That basically. I'm not saying that everybody who went to the Capitol there, I'm not saying that some probably went with good intentions. I'm going to say that. Good intentions, peaceful protesting.
So, Ron, let's talk about that real quick because, again, so a lot of those people did face consequences. A lot of those people, they got their houses raided. And to your point, there were people that broke windows and broke down doors. There were people that just sort of wandered in. There were stories of people that came in hours later and had no idea, like little old ladies that had no idea what was going on and just kind of wandered in, said, what's going on? And they got raided too. So, I mean, that's sort of the thing is that
I have yet to hear the president of the United States say that was wrong.
But okay,
they were patriots.
So
he said they were patriots.
Go ahead.
You said they were patriots. That's what he said. And one guy got killed in Porter County, I think, where he had just got out. He said the police stopped him, and you probably know about that.
Mm-hmm.
He stopped him. I was appointed by the president, and he got shot. Mad. He started arguing with the policeman. The policeman killed him, and the policeman shouldn't have killed him. But I'm just simply saying that, again, that insurrection, it just goes beyond. Never in the history of this country have we ever had anything like that.
Okay,
before.
so you bring up the insurrection, but here's the thing. Here's what we were talking about, though. There were consequences for the people involved in the insurrection. When people start talking about the Epstein list, there have been no consequences, and I think part of that is because there's a lot of high-profile names, both political.
Absolutely.
And so this becomes my question is that we've sort of said, some people have said, okay, I'm tired of talking about it because, and again, I get it because we know that nothing will ever come of it. But the big question is this still happening? Is there a new Jeffrey Epstein that we don't know about? And is this still happening? Are there going to be consequences?
And again, there were Clinton, Democrat, and Republicans, okay, part of the Epstein guy, So and whether you know it or not, Donald Trump was a Democrat before. Him and Bill Clinton was tight.
Sure.
So all of a sudden, he's a great guy now. But anyway, I'm going to let that go. But if he wants to go on the radio with I think it would be a good show, and I could take him to task anytime. But again, if he calls back, ask him what do you think about the insurrection. Ask him what do you think about when.
Well, but again, but remember though, like I said, there a lot of those. right? But a lot of those people, there were consequences for those actions. In the case of what may or may not have happened with the Epstein list, who may or may not have done what, there's been zero consequence. And that's sort of the problem, is that, again, that's where we talk about George Carlin and the big club, right? It's the big club and you ain't in it. That big club, they're on that list and there's been no consequences. And that's the question.
Let me ask you one thing.
Yeah.
Do you believe that thing was stolen, the election was stolen? Pence didn't believe it. But did you believe it was stolen?
So here's what I'll say. I don't believe that.
Come on now, B.
Okay, listen.
Come on.
Because, again, I'm an independent person. I believe that the election results were certified, but I also will tell you that there are questions about certain counties. There are questions about the system, about how we do things, that if you want to have legitimate sort of bulletproof elections that nobody can question, our processes are a little loose. You get what I'm saying? The way that we do things, the way that we count votes, and the way that things went down, that opens the door to suspicion. So all I'm saying is we need to do better in the processes. There's no reason why in this world that there shouldn't. Go ahead.
The guy in Georgia said that he was a Republican. He said there's nothing going on. He was a Republican, okay? He said nothing went on down here, but all of a sudden I'm hearing Gabbett going down there today. It's just terrible. But anyway, I'm going to.
But again, I brought up Rudy Clay. May he rest in peace. Because what did he say? His famous quote was, "There is no hanky panky." But again, the fact that that there were all these questions about where the votes, why is it taking so long, that opens the door.
And I told you.
Yeah.
I told you. If you listen to the national elections, a lot of times they say we can't call this because certain parts of state hadn't come in yet. And I understand that's what politicians do, man. Let me just tell you.
Right.
They do that. They say we're going to hold them, and it happened in every city. When you look at national television, do they not say we can't call this too close because
right? But then these weird things that happen at 2 a.m. though. But again, that's my point: is that when you're holding back ballots and you're waiting till 2 a.m. and that opens the door. That opens the door to people to ask questions. Why is it taking so long? Why is this happening? Why are you counting ballots at 2 a.m. When the windows are covered up? I mean, that opens the door to questions.
And he answered that when he came out the results, and that's where the votes came out of Gary. I know all about it.
No, I mean, right. Hey, I appreciate you. You have a good day. Let's go ahead and take the next caller. Morning caller, you're on the air.
Who's ready for a big NIPSCO bill?
Who is ready for? That's the one thing we're not ready for. Stan, how are you this morning?
Good. How are you?
I'm good.
Morning.
So we talked about, I mentioned you earlier, you were on the Channel 2 News last week. We had protests over the weekend. We've got more protests coming up this week. So here's what, Stan, we've talked a lot about how this is affecting the residents, consumers, but let's talk about the small business side of this, because I think this is sort of the second, the left hook here. We talk about high NIPSCO bills as an individual, but what happens when your local small businesses also get hit with a high NIPSCO bill? So let's talk about that. Tell people how that's affecting you.
Well, you're going to have a increased fixed cost. The fixed cost is your utilities, your water, et cetera. And when it goes up that amount, you got to figure out, well, what are you going to do to contradict that cost? How are you going to cover it? Because if you eat it, that for me, that's about $1,000 a month extra. That's what I'm figuring. What do you do? How do you contradict that extra cost? And what I was getting at when I was on the TV show the other day is you have to make cuts. You have to make cuts in your suppliers. You're going to have to get the best deals. You're going to, you can control your labor, but you can only cut labor so much. So then you were talking about raising prices. That's the last thing I want to do with the tight economy. So these are some tough decisions as a business owner, and I haven't figured it out yet. And I'm sure a lot of other business owners are in the same predicament as me. What do you do? How do you absorb these costs? That $1,000 a month. Imagine these other businesses that are 2 or 3 times or 4 times the size of mine, and what their NIPSCO bill is going to be. So we're in a predicament. Not to mention, the people are not going to have the extra money, because that's their fixed cost. So they're not going to have money for entertainment, food, et cetera. So This is a double whammy. It's going to really hurt the local economy.
Well, and that's the thing that we need to talk about. And you've been very transparent. You've been on these airwaves talking about, I remember when you talked about how, what was it, the potatoes and things were going up and you had to figure that out. So, I mean, again, as a small business owner, this has been tough for a lot of people because you're constantly fighting this battle of, my raw materials are going up. Now my NIPSCO bill's going up. And obviously you can always raise your costs, but eventually there's going to be a point where, that you've doubled the cost of your platters and things like that. And people just, it's too expensive to go to Big Frank's. So you got to balance those costs. And then again, as you said, when you come home and you have this big NIPSCO bill, you're going to say, well, I can't afford to eat out this month. We can't afford to go to the movies this month. We can't afford to do this or that. And so it's going to affect our local economy. It starts now with the big NIPSCO bill that comes to your house, but this is far from over, right? I mean, that's the thing is, like you said, it's affecting small businesses. It's going to have a trickle down effect over the next few months. And we haven't seen the last of it yet. So what are you hearing as far as, I mean, again, obviously you're not the only one in this predicament. What are you hearing from other small business owners?
Same thing. The same. What do we do? What do we do? Do we raise prices? We don't want to raise prices. Obviously, we want to give everybody a good deal. But then, you got to come up with some managerial decisions that are going to help your finances. And the thing for me is, I definitely am going to be shopping around for the best cost of goods. And I have to step on some toes of some distributors, but I got to shop around and I have to get what's best for Big Frank's in the business. So I have to make decisions on cutting costs because I really do not want to raise prices. I mean, people are tight as is, and if you're going to raise prices, it's going to deter them from coming. I am doing a lot of specials. I do a lot of specials that I call them cost cutters, and I'm trying to draw people in. We got the happy hour, and then I do my daily specials just to bring people in. And I'm not making much off these specials, but it draws people into the restaurant. And you have to make decisions like that. So you don't want to lose customers. But then again, you have to come up with some managerial decisions on how to cover these increased costs. Now, Chuck, don't forget, besides NIPSCO, everything else has gone up. My insurance has gone up, trash disposal, internet, you name it. It's all gone up. Maintenance has gone up. You get something repaired, it's 2 or 3 times what it used to be.
Right.
And, that is a double whammy or triple whammy. So it's tough running a business right now. I'm not going to lie to you.
Well, and that also goes to the what I always say about why I love to support local business. I go to like Big Frank's, Stan's sitting there, shakes your hand on the way in, and you have these opportunities to meet the people who run the business and the money stays local, as opposed to, the bigger chains and things like that. They're just going to pass that cost along to you. And they really, they're not going to think twice about it. So, well, our costs have gone up. We're going to pass it along to the consumer. Whereas opposed to people like Stan say, okay, you get to talk to Stan, and Stan said, we have those conversations. So look, we're all struggling here. So Stan tries his best not to raise prices because he knows it hurts you just as much as it hurts him. And I appreciate that it's been difficult for you, Stan, just like every other small business owner around here. But you've been very transparent about it. You've been on these airwaves with me about it, because I know a lot of small business owners reach out to me and they say they don't want to talk politics. They don't want to talk on the radio because they're afraid they're going to offend somebody. But I always appreciate that you've been, you've always been kind of an advocate here for small business owners. And I appreciate that about you.
Well, I appreciate you having me on the air. Now, a couple things, I have to be innovative also, because I do a lot of outside venues like we just did Avenue 912. We were catering the food. And then I'm looking for events to do outside to bring in more income. Now, another thing that I know we're changing topics here, and I talked to you about this, is video gaming terminals. Mm-hmm. Getting video gaming terminals back to the small restaurants and bars and giving us a level playing field with the big casinos. Let's get some income back for the smaller places. That can draw people in. And it's a win-win situation. It's a win for the small businesses, and it's a win for the state because they're going to get more tax revenue. The bill, I don't know if it got tabled or not, but it's not active right now. 1235. I just checked yesterday. I didn't see it being active. I hope it didn't get tabled, because last year it got tabled by Jeffrey Thompson, the Ways and Means chairman in Indianapolis. And we've got it, they just passed it for the nonprofits last year. Let's get it back into the bars and restaurants. Give us a level playing field with these big casinos, because I can't compete with, these guys bringing in the entertainment and all this cheaper free food and everything else, because I'm a small business owner. These are corporations. They're multi-billion dollars. Let's just, talk to our politicians. I've already sent emails to numerous of them. Let's get the video gaming back to the local places. Illinois has it. Wisconsin has it. Michigan has it. Why can't the state of Indiana help the small business owners? That's one thing, I'm a big advocate is we got to help the small business owners, because I didn't get a tax break. I didn't get any incentive when I opened, like some of these, casinos, taxpayer dollars to open them up. I didn't get that. I had to use my own personal finances. So that's one of the things, I think that would help. If we could, you want to help the small business owners, let's push our politicians to get the VGTs, video gaming terminals, back.
Oh, perfect point. Do you offhand? I was looking for your post about that. Do you know who to contact about that, or who have you been reaching out to?
The state representative and the state senators, and they have to push down south, and they have to lobby. And we got lobby. We had there was a meeting January 5th, but we've got to put some pressure on them. And say, hey, let's help these small business owners. You ask any bar owner, any restaurant owner, hey, would you like video gaming back? Of course we would. It's going to bring people in. It's going to bring revenue. It's a no-brainer. And it's not going to take away from the casinos. What it's going to do is, it's just going to help the small business. Plus, we're local. Our funds, we spend locally. I pay local taxes. I'm not big, I'm not going to name the names of the casinos, but they're corporate. And a lot of their funds go back to the corporations. It doesn't come back to the local.
Right. Well, and again, that's sort of the problem, is we always looked at the casinos as free money, but we never talk about the consequences to small business and the local economy. So, I mean, that's, again, another issue that doesn't get talked about until the back end. So, okay. Hey, I appreciate the call. I appreciate that you're always, like I said, I always appreciate that you're an advocate for the small business owners. It was nice to see you on the news. And hopefully all of this protesting and all this will result in something that will give us all some relief. So, appreciate it, Stan.
Thanks, Chuck, for having me on the air. I really appreciate your time.
You take care. So let's do now, let's take a quick break, because I know the boss is like outside pacing, wanting to get on the air. He's getting that jonesing, wants to be on the radio with me. So I don't blame him. So let's take a quick break. We'll be back with more after this.
Teen parents face overwhelming challenges, but with the right support, they can build bright futures for themselves and their children.
Mental Health America's ETAP program provides education, mentorship, and resources to help young parents graduate.
Right now, your donation goes twice as far. Thanks to a generous match, every dollar given up to $30,000 is doubled, but only until March 31st.
Scan the QR code, visit MHANWI.org, or mail your check to ETAP Match today.
Before Notre Dame Federal Credit Union, we were being charged various maintenance fees and various check writing fees for all of our accounts. And with Notre Dame, we don't have that. We have that true community partnership. We get interest based on all of our parish and school accounts, and the interest rate is really second to none.
Ogren Insurance, Hammond's oldest family-owned independent insurance agency, now in its third generation, providing clients in the Chicago area with products from quality insurance companies to handle your every need. Regardless of driving history, Ogren Insurance can find the right coverage for you at competitive prices. To learn more about the insurance solutions and services we offer throughout Indiana, Illinois, and Michigan, call 219-933-0076 or visit our website, ogreninsurance.com. We're located at 6929 Homan Avenue in Hammond, Indiana. Do business locally with someone you know and trust.
IBEW Local 697 electrical contractors bring the highest standard of electrical work to Lake County homes, schools, and businesses. From everyday fixes to once-in-a-lifetime builds, we don't just get the job done, we get it done right and up to the highest safety standards. When you need electrical work, hire the professionals who power Indiana. Powering Indiana, Lake County, bringing excellence to the job, creating a brighter future for our community.
7:54 here in the region. So I've got people complaining they've been on hold for a while. And you know how much they hate that. So why don't we power through some calls? The boss is here. He'll chime in.
You had people on the air and
what?
You had guests. You had.
I'm trying to.
Then I was saying take a break, and
I did, and you disappeared. So now we're taking calls. So here,
wait a second.
Go ahead.
Just so Lynette knows, I mean, we got to open up with traffic and weather.
We did already. We did. You missed it. So traffic was trafficy. There was okay, I'll do the traffic. Everything's looking good except for Bishop Ford to Dan Ryan. Dan Ryan's heavy Skyway on in. Rest of Skyway Toll Road, Borman I-65, 294, 80 around the city, 8094. Everything looking good.
Sorry, I was taking my time.
I know you're like, take a break. I want to come in, and then I'm like, where is he? And then he's like, whatever. Okay, so go ahead, do weather. It's cold out.
Good morning, everyone. Today we're at 24 degrees with highs of 28 and lows of 19. We'll be having a couple of flurries. Otherwise mostly cloudy and chilly. And then tomorrow and Tuesday we'll be having highs of 26 and lows of 16. Should be mostly cloudy and cold. And then Wednesday we'll be having highs of 24 and lows of 11 with periods of clouds and sun with a flurry or two.
So Punxsutawney Phil did see his shadow. Woodstock Willie did not. So I don't know if there's like a third. We can get a consensus from another groundhog, but we'll find out about that.
It's just cold, man. Off every day. Do you want to know one of the reasons that I wound up going to California for school was there were some of the coldest winters ever in the late 70s. And one day I just woke up, I go, man, I just want to go where it's warm.
That's what my wife says every morning. So we're going to take calls because people have been waiting. So good morning, caller. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Chuck.
I apologize for making you wait. It's been a little chaotic this morning, as always. But go ahead, jump on in.
It just made me more irate. I'm going to talk to you like a Boilermaker.
Okay.
If I was down there, I'd kick you in the nuts.
Fantastic.
But I don't think you have any.
Uh-oh.
I don't think you have any.
Did you get that?
You know what?
Okay, good. Go ahead, Max.
And then you turn around. Chuck, what happened to everybody that's in? Let's vote them out. That's all you got to say.
I've been saying that for 20 years. I've been saying that for 20 years. I mean, nobody listens to me.
But when Madlock said, oh, it ain't Mervin's fault, you said he's right.
Okay, but no, it's not. No, listen. Here's the problem. We want to, and you're blaming Mervan. They're blaming Trump. Some people are blaming. The problem is that you're trying to blame one guy. And so again, I'm going to flip the script on you though. There's a lot of people in the world that say just got to get rid of Trump and everything will be great. And we know that's not the case, right? I mean, again, that's the problem. Is this idea that it's just one guy's fault? It's not the system's fault. It's not the idea that you have a governor appointing 5 people to an IURC. It's not the idea that Trump's got tariffs and Biden had the Green New Deal and all. I mean, again, it's a big picture issue. And that's what I'm saying is this idea that just got to vote that one guy out and it will solve the problem. That's not the case. We need to think bigger than that. And that's the problem, that you guys want to break it down and go, it's Trump's fault, it's Biden's fault. It's bigger than that. And that's what you guys need to start getting, is that it's not just going to go away because we vote.
Come in. This is where you get your nuts kicked again. It's not Trump's fault, you should say. It's the new Green Deal, Chuck.
But did Trump not spend $9 trillion, though?
Jed, great job of putting a microchip in Chuck's brain, because now you're controlling him. Instead of saying, this is the Democrats with the new Green Deal, and Holcomb went for it, you turn around and just sit there. No, Chuck, you're the moderator. You have to say Trump is not for the new Green Deal. He made an executive order to keep.
We know all this.
Well, why don't you say it?
Okay, Trump is not for the Green New Deal, but also Trump spent $9 trillion in his time in the White House, and that's the problem. Is that all of this? Chuck,
we're not talking.
We are. All of this comes back to the debt. All of this comes back to the devaluing of the dollar and $38 trillion. Go ahead.
See, Jed watched that movie Weird Science. He's on his phone, but really he's messing with your microchip. Every time you want to say something right, he starts zapping you, like in Weird Science. You went off tangent again. So this is the third time you would have got kicked in the nuts. You know what? You went off on debt. We're talking NIPSCO, dude.
But
We're
all of it's
talking-
related. All of it's intrinsically related because all of this goes back to the devaluing of the dollar, the $38 trillion in debt. That both
Hit him
parties
again,
are
Jed.
equally
Hit him again with the microchip.
are
We're
equally
trying-
responsible.
There you go. Hit him again.
Okay,
Man,
can I
you're
ask
controlling
a
him good.
question? Here, let me ask a question because I started off with this
No,
last.
you can't, because I waited 20 minutes. I want to talk about the guy that just called in that's crying, and he voted for Mervyn and even took a picture with him.
Okay.
What in Pete's sake is going on here? You turn around and you're crying. You don't have to cry. You voted for it. You voted for it.
Hey, man, it's good to hear you. Thanks a lot. Talk to you.
I love you too, Jed. Great job on the microchip.
We can't even build microchips here because the Chinese have control over the raw materials needed to make microchips and
Rare earth metals.
Rare earth metals, yeah. So we can't even. It was Sean Duffy did an interview. He was talking about that. He said the Chinese have control. We can't make stuff even if we wanted to because the Chinese control all the materials now. Like what? Again, you don't think about that until it's too late.
You want to know when you? Whoa! Gosh,
and he spilled his coffee.
Coffee?
Did you get that too?
Oh, guess where I spilled it? Excuse me. You know,
I miss doing radio. It's always fun.
You know, libertarian get-togethers on a Tuesday night at 7:30.
It's Thursday. It's actually going to be Thursday at Gelosimo's in Crown Point next Thursday. Come join me.
You don't do it in Mark Brickman's kitchen anymore?
I don't know who that is, but no.
Mark Brickman was the first libertarian I ever met.
Yeah, you should tell him to come by
he
sometime.
lived over here in Hammond. And he'd be like, "Hey, Jed, you got to come over. I mean, we've got it all figured out. We're libertarians, right?"
Right. So far,
I'd
so good.
show up, and every last time it would be 3 or 4 people sitting around, and all of a sudden it's like 7 or 8, like maybe 5 dudes and 3 women, and all talking politics. And I'm just kind of listening and stuff. And Mark Brickman, I went to high school with him, and then all of a sudden they'd bring out the weed. That's exactly what would happen every time. And I'm like...
And yet you didn't join the party at that point. Like that should have been... should have sold you right there.
This is just a reason for you guys to get together and smoke weed.
But are you going to come up with bad ideas that are going to hurt people when you're smoking? I mean, again, like you're going to come up with bad ideas. You're smoking weed. You're like, let's do things that are going to hurt the average family. No.
Well, that's what I feel like when I come in to sit with you. I feel like I'm back at Brickman's kitchen table.
I don't even touch the stuff anymore. I don't need that. This is enough.
That's how this gets started.
Okay, but let's do this. We got one more caller. Good morning, caller. You are on the air.
So, Chuck, you're having a big libertarian meeting coming up?
I am. You're welcome to come. Bring your overalls.
Yeah, when is it?
I'll send you a text.
Well, just say it. When is it?
Next Thursday evening at Gelosimo's in Crown Point.
You got to go to Michigan or Illinois to get in.
You
got to go take a visit to Michigan or Illinois before they'll allow you in.
Okay. Go ahead. What are your what you've been waiting?
Something tells me Jimmy will show up with a pocket of gummies covered in lint like he was doing this morning while they were doing the weather. Hey, you missed the weather when you were picking the lint off the gummies, Jimmy. Pay attention. Good Lord. So what is going on here, Chuck, with this little issue with your buddy Matlock and the Democrats? Because I've just never heard anybody. I think there's like a lack of oxygen getting to that guy's brain. You go up in Gary, you look at the voter turnout. Oh, we had 3 precincts that had 102% turnout. And Matlock's like, well, that's no big deal. You get 80,000 ballots in the state of Michigan mailed in. They have 1 vote checked on them. Biden for president. Not a single down vote ballot. And nobody goes, isn't that a little unusual?
It's a corrupt. Hey, man, it's a corrupt country. Is that what you're saying?
No, it's a corrupt Democratic Party. You had your boy, the guy who blew up your relationship with Andrean, Kuziak. He'd get on there every Friday and just laugh out. Yeah, we stole the elections, and we took the concrete. We took all the poor people's money, and the mayor from East Chicago got $8,000 suits. And we're going to bring the Taylor on to talk about that, while the people in East Chicago are outside picking up dirt to eat, and you guys think it's a big joke.
So
And
wait
you
a
get
second.
Epstein
So
walked
there's
out.
corruption in America, but it's
Again, let
only
me continue
Democrats.
on, Jimmy.
Wait a
Jimmy, let
second.
me
Hold on.
continue
I'm
on.
asking you a
Epstein-
question. I let you talk, so hold on.
Yeah, but I'm not finished.
So there's
though,
so much
Jimmy.
corruption, but it's only Democrats.
Well, and here's the question, though. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Epstein goes to the White House 17 times. Bill Clinton's got multiple photographs with girls, sophomores in high school, in bikinis wrapped around him. And Mailbox goes, well, that's no big deal.
Well,
and then
okay.
you got a guy named Bill. Then you got a guy
Okay,
named
all right,
Bill
all right. I
Clinton
got you. Thank
who
you.
takes
I got
a
it. I got the
21-year-old.
idea. So,
Well, but here's the question, though. We have a state. You have a Republican state. So you say, well, Democrat system. Well, you have a state controlled by Republicans, and we have a thing called the CIABOA that's supposed to find these things and supposed to do audits and go, hey, you probably shouldn't be spending money that way, whether you're talking about the sheriff or a mayor or what have you. I mean,
all right,
again,
let's talk
go ahead.
about the sheriff.
Okay. I didn't. Okay.
Go ahead. Finish it.
No, I was saying that we have systems in place to deal with these things, but we don't deal with them.
So, Mad Mac brings up corruption.
Mm-hmm.
And I think from us sitting around, I mean, if you guys know the story, Chuck and I have been together for decades now.
You're my longest relationship, I think.
Yeah, and he it was his idea about the TV, and now there's 25 affiliates and thousands of kids who get on TV because of Chuck Pullen telling me what to do, and I agreed with it, and I went along with it. I kind of put up resistance for like 7 or 8 years, but eventually did it. But we spent a lot of time trying to get it done, and a lot of time talking about corruption. And I think that at the very core, because we're around here, of why we even do this, it kind of started out with corruption.
Right.
I mean, think about it. I worked here in the mid-'80s. I'm covering corruption. I see, everybody, the concrete in East Chicago, the
Sidewalk 6, the whole county.
Gary, all that. And after a while, you realize that the region is not living up to its expectations or to its potential.
Well, but the problem is, and I always quote what you talk about with Buncich at his was it a sentencing hearing where he said, this is the way we always done it. This is the way we've always done it, right? I mean, and that's the philosophy. That's the philosophy around here, is when you do something wrong, you say, well, that's the way we've always done it.
Well, so what got me then is then it went the other way. Then the feds came in, and I covered all these
Indictment Fridays.
Indictment Fridays. I mean, I can't even tell you. I think I covered 60 indictments. I probably sat through 4 trials. But 2 of them stand out in my head. One was you mentioned the sheriff, which was Sheriff John Bunchich's. And I sat through that whole thing, and they kept showing video in the courtroom of me interviewing Bunch.
How'd that feel?
And all the Chicago reporters are like, who the hell are you? And I'm like, don't worry about who I am, all right? Don't just forget that. Just do your own thing. And then the story of Philpott.
Right.
I mean, they went deep on Bunchich for undercover. People had to change high schools. They had all that. And then they went deep on Philpott, who admitted he had taken the money, right? But it was corruption, and it was like, hey, man.
But again, it was like, that's how we've always done it. We take those checks. You give me a check, I take it, and that's the way we've always done it, right? I mean, and again, I feel like he was railroaded, but that's another story.
I mean, no, I don't know about railroaded.
Well, Philpott was. It was it's like, hey, can I take this check? He says, yeah, you can take this check, and then he takes the check. They go, oh, now you're in trouble.
There was a moment in history in the region where I sat there, and I'm like, they interviewed that Hess guy, was it Sachs or Hess? I can't remember which one. He was on the witness stand, and I'm like, you can't convict a guy if his lawyer told him it was okay to say.
Right. Everybody says okay to do it, and then when you do it, you get in trouble.
Yeah, but in Bunchich took the money.
Right.
In my mind.
Yeah, there's a different story.
I sat there and watched my wife's cousin up there as he walked in with the money and all that. But 15 years for $15,000 I was like, I didn't care. But anyways, it was corruption, and we got it, and we cleaned it up. And if you really think about it, Chuck, we kind of cleaned it up, and we're in a boom time. Maybe that's part of it.
Well, here's the thing, though. And Lynette, do we have an 8:30?
Nope.
Okay, so we'll go till a few minutes before 9. Here's the thing: are we in a boom time simply because the politics next door are so bad that everybody's trying to move here? Do you know what I mean?
We had to clean up first, otherwise we would be them.
Right.
And it is bad. I went up to the city for 2 nights over the weekend. We can't really go on vacation. We get so much going on. So we went up for 2 nights. What an amazing city in the middle of winter with not a ton of people.
It's a beautiful thing, yes.
Exactly. But so, you and I are both kind of sensitive to corruption, right? And so here's the very first 2 stories I open up today.
Mm-hmm.
United Arab Emirates took a stake in the Trump family's crypto company.
Right.
The $500 million agreement raises new concerns about the propriety of the president negotiating foreign policy with his own business partners.
Right.
That sounds like EC all the way through.
Okay, but again, that's outrageous. Hunter Biden, Burisma, 10% for the big guy. That was outrageous. Going back to the vice president under Bush and BlackRock and all that stuff. I mean, again, none of this is new. We just accept it. Nancy Pelosi making $300 million just happened to be the best trader in the world. Like, we just accept that. Like, it is what it is. All these people are on the Epstein list. It is what it is. They're all on the list. What are we going to do about it? That's the question that this is where I'm at, honestly. Like you and me talking about this. Are our neighbors ever going to reach a breaking point? And what will it be? Will it be high NIPSCO bills? Will it be what's happening in Minneapolis? I mean, like I said, in Minneapolis, you've got the mayor talking about Fort Sumter and talking about this is the first shots of the Second American Civil War, right? I mean, that's scary rhetoric.
Well, the one thing I learned from the corruption around here is that you were like, there's all these things going on and all these controversies that the guys at East Chicago or Lake County would make. They're like, hey, look over here, and we'll just take the money here.
Right.
And so I'm kind of feeling, the same way now.
Well, so here's the thing.
You know what I mean? No,
go ahead.
Let's look at this one. So Trump takes $500 million from the UAE that gives them a 49% stake in World Liberty Financial or whatever it is, World Liberty Financials, right? And then he turns around and cuts a deal with them to give them the chips, despite concerns from national security officials that they would share it with China, which would potentially let them use it to advance its military weapons systems. Now, I really don't even really pay attention to, politicians stealing money until it gets to court or taking money in an ethically challenging way. But when you start giving people chips that they could ultimately use to destroy us, that becomes serious.
Walt and I had a discussion early this morning about, again, Sean Duffy talking about shipbuilding. He said we used to be the premier shipbuilder in the world, and then we just sort of stopped. And now we build less than 1% of the ships.
I'm talking chips.
I know you're saying chips. I'm saying ships because they're both and Sean Duffy was saying like these are related things. Is the idea that we don't, the Chinese build ships, and now the Chinese control the raw materials to build chips. Again, chips. But again, it's all sort of in his mind. He said it's all sort of interrelated, and so that's the point. Is that we have lost that vision for the future. Whereas countries like China, that's all they do is they talk about the grand plan for China for 20 years, 50 years in the future, and we talk in 2 and 4 year increments, right? The next election cycle, who's going to win the House? We're thinking in 2 years, they're thinking in 20 years, and that's the problem.
So on Sunday, this comes out, right?
Okay.
Now, Elizabeth Warren, whom I don't really listen to, called the revelations evidence that the Trump family and the other guy, Witkoff, that they have done, had, quote, sold out American national security to benefit their crypto company. She said the agreement should be terminated and White House officials should be called in to testify. Quote, this is corruption, plain and simple. Congress needs to grow a spine and put a stop to Trump's crypto corruption.
So,
do you think anybody cares about this?
No, not at all.
I don't think anybody cares.
Is half this country wants to go after Trump for those things. Half the country was outraged with Hunter Biden and Burisma, but nobody wants to go after the system that allowed this to happen. And that's the problem. That's the inherent problem, is this idea that, well, Trump's the problem, man. Get rid of him, vote him out, impeach him, and everything will be great. Everything will be, butterflies and rainbows, or whatever they call unicorns and rainbows. Like, the problem is the next guy will probably be worse, whether it's a left or right.
The villain that you know versus the villain that you don't know.
It's sort of like, you remember, it was funny. I remember when he got kicked off of Twitter, and there was a lot of people on Twitter going, well, now we can't see what he's thinking. It's like we wanted to get him kicked off Twitter. Now that he's gone, we don't know what's on his mind. It's like we'd rather know what he's thinking at 2 a.m. as opposed to not. So why don't we do this? Let's take a couple.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
All right, so here's the second one.
Okay.
All right,
Here's
so you wake
one.
up that, and you go, all right, well, gosh, that seems kind of, I mean, if that was in Lake County, it would be like, man, you can't
take money to go to Hooters.
You can't take money like that.
You can't do that.
But I think on a national level, it ties in with what you're talking about, is that whether it's Clinton, whether it's Trump, whether it's Epstein, whether it's Warren, all these, at the very top of society, you can pretty much do what you want these days. And that is what Trump plugged into. He plugged into, like, people are tired of getting screwed by the big guy. Right? Well, you brought up George Carlin, right?
Yeah.
So here's another one. So Trump's like, all right, I might as well just go for it. Trump lawsuit against the IRS puts him on both sides of the same case.
Well, right.
Hold on.
Go ahead.
The president is the plaintiff. He's suing the government for $10 billion in damages for some clerk
the
releasing his
financials,
taxes. Yes. He was actually, a consultant, so he didn't work for the government, but they're going after President Trump's lawsuit against the government that he runs presents a mind-bending minefield of conflicts that could end with the president's appointees approving a federal payout to him. Wait a second.
My only question was, why can't this be a class action? Why can't we all join him in suing the IRS? Because I've been fighting them for years. I've had some angry phone calls with them. They've hassled me just like they've hassled a lot of you, small business owners, what have you. So
exactly.
We've all been hassled by the IRS.
You know what my whole thing was, when they call you in and you go in and they say, well, what about, my whole thing was that I worked in Illinois and lived in Indiana, and they would always call you in every 4 or 5 years, and then you'd say, don't worry, I'm paying state income taxes in 2 states.
Like, don't worry, I'm paying double.
Don't worry about it. But anyways, Trump is simultaneously supervising the private attorneys demanding at least $10 billion in damages, while also overseeing the senior Justice Department attorneys with authority to settle the case and authorize a payment. How do you feel about that?
It's a big club, and we're on both sides of it. I mean, again, like, it's comical. It is comical that these things happen, and I don't know what to make of it. I don't know. Like, you run out of outrage after a while. You just run out. It just, like, it goes from being, I used to come on these airways mad, like I'd come on with Harlow all fired up about taxes, and now I'm just like, we're not going to do anything about it.
And I'm the same way. I'm just like, honestly, I think it's like the most entertaining show in the history of America.
Yeah, and we get to play it out live on the radio.
Every day you go, like, turn it on and go, what's kind of weird today, right? But there is that part that got us originally involved here. It's like, wow, gosh, corruption. One thing is, to make, like, go after Greenland. That's not corruption. It's just a kind of a goofy idea, or Venezuela, or how the ICE thing is coming out. All of that is in the machinations of running the government. But this is like next level entertainment.
Right.
Because it's almost as if it's okay.
But remember, he has won and settled many lawsuits. He settled lawsuits with ABC, and again, like, this is one of those things. You could say he's wrong to do it, but he's won the lawsuits, so that means
most of them settled because they don't want to get They don't want the FCC coming after them.
Well, there's that aspect of it too. How do you sue somebody when you control the FCC? That could see. I mean, again, it's comical the amount. And I don't even know if I'd call it corruption. It's just this web of the incestuous family tree of politics that doesn't fork, right? Lynette, who's the real boss, says we got to take a break. Let's take a break. We'll take some calls. We'll be back with more after this.
Introducing Powers Health, a health system with a new name and a strong legacy of caring for families in our community. One with a tradition of advanced specialized services and a vision for the future. One with a commitment to medical excellence and compassionate care. Everything we do, everything we believe, powers health.
Do you want to get a vaccine, but it's difficult to get to your healthcare provider? Call the folks at Right Care Pharmacy. They'll come to your home, discuss your vaccination status with you, and administer the appropriate vaccine with expertise. They offer vaccines for flu, shingles, pneumonia, hepatitis A and B, TDAP, RSV, and COVID. They've been serving the Lake and Porter County community for over 11 years and are fluent in Spanish. Call Right Care Pharmacy at 219-655-5028.
For over 100 years, Roofers Local 26 has been keeping Northwest Indiana dry and safe. Since 1919, our highly trained members have built a reputation for skills, safety, and reliability. With a 4-year apprenticeship and certifications in OSHA safety, first aid, and CPR, we deliver quality you can trust. When you need roofing done right, choose Roofers Local 26, protecting what matters most for over a century. For more information, visit www.roofers26.com.
High school basketball postseason is here, with the girls starting February 3rd and boys March 3rd. Be on every game for as low as $1,500. Sponsor local. Reach millions. Visit heartlandsportsnet.com today for more information.
.821 here in the region. We're taking phone calls. We're talking
294
about
around the city. Looks pretty good.
The
80 going east and west looks good.
The Bishop Ford is a little heavy going into the Dan Ryan. Dan Ryan's heavy Skyway on in. Other than that, you have sort of the typical Monday morning traffic. Let's take some calls. Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Hey, it's Brad. You know, here's the thing. I cannot understand why. Chuck, I don't get it, man. Is it just because we decided to break the mold? Why can no one get to the point that we keep trying to make, that all the corruption is everybody? I mean, coming in and talking about Trump and crypto, are you kidding? Do you realize what SEC Gary Gensler did under the Democrats for the crypto industry? Do you realize why we are here? They destroyed our financial system here. We would be done with this crypto thing 10 years ago if it wasn't for them. The reason why they didn't want the crypto is because all of the fraud would have been uncovered 10 years ago. Because that's what all the crypto is about, and that's why we're going to be forced on it. Is because nobody wants to admit everybody's been a fraud from the red side and the blue side, and that's why we have to have transparency and open public blockchains so we can see what's going on. But everybody wants to go, oh, Trump did this and Biden did this. Look, man, Clinton deported 12.5 million people. Bush deported 5.2 million, 12.5 by Clinton. I can't really remember. Biden, 7 million. Nobody protested a thing. No one protested.
So, Brad,
and nobody wants to even talk about the fraud anymore. This is insanity. Look, man, the fraud is from everybody. And there is not going to, and now they've screwed it all up. And you know what everybody does? They still defend the government. They still defend the politicians. They still say, well, they can do it better next time. They can legislate it better next time. We would have never gotten here if it wasn't such an unbelievably messed up system.
Hey,
and
Brad,
I'm sorry, folks. Yeah.
Let's end that right there.
Well,
because you are correct.
Okay.
You are correct.
No.
And I want to give you a break. Well, just stop for a second. I think in my mind, I think you are an example of what most people feel. I mean, just look at today.
I don't think so at all.
No,
they're getting there.
They're getting there.
In
Listen,
pieces.
Here's what you wake up Monday morning, right? You got NIPSCO, right?
It's Monday right here.
Yeah, and then you wake up and you see that Trump took $500 million from the Arab Emirates, and he's suing his own guys that work for him for $10 billion, right? And you see that the Epstein things came out, and you see that there are all sorts of really rich people that were involved with the guy, right? And then...
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it could be a psychological operation, but that's a whole story for another day.
It goes back to, I learned this term like 42 years ago. It's called surplus powerlessness.
Yeah.
It's just like you feel so powerless to all of the huge forces that are going on around you that you actually become vulnerable to like cults and stuff like that. But I think that what you're feeling is something that maybe 5 or 7 years ago when you talked about the system and how it's against people, it wasn't as ripe as it is now. Does that make sense?
I think it's always been that way. I think it's been ripe. I think it's always been that way, and there's been fraternal orders orchestrating it. I think it's just now come to light, and there's more communication mediums to get it out, and then other people get to other communication mediums like calling in the morning here and all that. I think the corruption's been going on for the last 250 years.
Brad, I want to move on to something.
It's unbelievable.
So
he wants to talk rare earth metals.
No, so here's the thing. On Friday, there was a flash crash in the precious metals market, in the crypto market. Some people are calling it a 10 sigma event, basically a statistically impossible flash crash of these markets. And when I saw that going down, I just laughed because the amount of manipulation that if you understand. And so I was looking at the options flows and things like that. It's comical, the amount of manipulation, and again, there will be no consequences for it. But at the end of the day, there's all these guys that were leveraging. They're all in on silver and gold. They're leveraging and they're trying to make money, and they all got wiped out. Billions of dollars erased in minutes. And it's just like, it's like, what do? You just look at it, and to understand what happened, it just laugh.
All right. Hey, thanks, Brad.
Go ahead. Thank you.
Oh, one last thing,
Go
Brad.
ahead.
Oh, real quick. Please, I just need one more. Listen, the AI thing, look, it's over, Jim. It's over. And I'm going to tell you why. This is why I want to start with I should have. Microsoft, this is why everybody in NVIDIA, get out, do what you got to do, figure it out. Microsoft announced you're going to run just as fat AIs and fast and everything off your old computer. It's all over. And that's another point of manipulation. They pumped up that market with NVIDIA for the last year, said it was the greatest thing since sliced bread. And now you can take that old computer out of the closet, like I said last year on your show, that those guys were developing it. And guess who finally came out and said it? Microsoft. So just remember, folks, the technology catches up. It gets smaller. It gets cheaper. Don't invest in first generation. Have a good day, you guys.
One last thing,
Go
Brad.
ahead.
Our YouTube commenters are asking how to find your content.
We're working on that.
Yeah, he hung up.
Well, we're gonna. Well, I told Brad. I said now that we're set up in the studio, we can have Brad can be back there behind the studio, so he's not on camera.
Hold on a second. Your idea has been rejected.
You don't want to have Brad have a show?
No, we can have Brad. Everything's moving out here.
No,
We're
but
making a state-of-the-art studio.
But he
out
wants
here.
a secret booth to do his show where he can't be seen. So we need to give him a secret, like a backdoor entrance to the studio. He'll come on, but we need to give him like a secret bat door, a Brad door, that he can come on and do radio but not be seen.
Like, did those Haven House people come in?
Oh, yeah. They were sitting here.
Yeah, we kind of want to minimize the guests until we're done with the studio.
It was a timely thing. Yeah, so their bowling event's coming up.
Okay.
So
I don't want to argue with you on the air.
That's good. Good idea.
This does not work for video anymore.
Yeah, no, I knew that. That's why I wanted to have more say in it. That's why you guys shouldn't have done this while I was on vacation.
Wait a second. Do you understand what happened here, Lynette? I came over here and I said, we don't need TV. We don't need anything. I already had it set up. I had a mixer. It goes right up the tray.
It's like I had one button. I'm on the air. I could just come in here and do my Substacks.
I came in last night and I talked on the air for a little while, tried to fix some things. And I'm looking at all of these computers that you set up. You're like, what's that one dude from Purdue that made things really complicated? Not Rubik's, but I forget his name. But he made like really complicated things to get a ball to roll a ball bearing to roll
I know
all
who
the
you're
way
talking
down.
about.
That's you.
Yeah, no, that's
you can take a nice simple
But you can do this from home. I was listening to your Substack earlier. That was a very nice segment. You had a Substack with Mitch Daniels from October. That was good radio, and you could do that from home. You don't have to come in and push all these buttons to do it.
So I looked in and I put it out on an algorithm, and I'm like, well, what should Lynette be doing with her programming, right? And I realized that in WJOB when he had Colby did.
Rube Goldberg is who you're
Rube
thinking.
Goldberg, yes, that's you.
Thank you.
That Colby used to say that you have to match the content to the time of day.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like right now we're arguing about politics and we're giving news and weather and sports and traffic and all that. But then you go through and maybe in the middle of the day it gets a little lighter.
It gets a little lighter, and that's
then
like,
you pick it up
right.
at the time to go home. But then in the evening, he's like, nobody wants to hear that. That's why we do sports, and that's why we do music in the evening.
Sure.
And so, Lynette, when we talk about it, we got to look at what time of day versus what we think people want. Does that make any sense? And
it does.
You know who's doing this really well? John Mayer. He has picked music to match the time of day. And I'm like, I've been saying that forever. We had to get around to that, just so you know.
Okay. Well, I mean, you used to have late night shows. Like Bob's a great late night. You used to have music shows in the evenings and stuff like that, and that's the kind of stuff that we need to start bringing that back in the podcast.
No one's given us any suggestions. Lynette is running the programming now,
right?
So I've put it out. I'm like, hey, listen, we're going to remake WJOB at Chuck's insistence. We went out and built a TV network, and now we're back to look at radio. And what do people want? I don't even know.
But how many people are on YouTube right now? I mean, you don't know how many people are listening on the radio.
Or something. What is it?
But you'll have several
50.
hundred people watching us on YouTube. I don't know what your ratings are. I don't know. I mean, based on the number of people I run into, there's definitely people listening.
No, the ratings are surprisingly steady.
Especially on
like
Mondays.
They always
yeah.
are.
Yeah.
No, they're not.
Monday it goes. Yeah, no, I've heard.
By the way, the light right there is going off your forehead right into my eyes.
It's
and
a shining.
Kind of hurting a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, we got.
No, I wanted to sit in the dark. I told her, I said, just leave all the lights off. It's like fireside chat.
You know what that would be? That would be like just coming here to do radio and not have all this other crap here.
Preacher would have like one light on. He'd turn all the lights off. It'd be like one little light, and you'd be like, this guy just sitting in the dark.
By the way,
radio.
I found a bunch of preacher stuff.
Good. And then Larry the K wants to do that show, and that'd be a fun thing. You should have one that. In the group, listen to some of the old shows, like the old preacher show, or even like the evening shows that used to happen, stuff like that. Go listen to the
Kubik
stuff. Like that's what we need to bring back. But why don't we take another call before we take a break? 'Cause I know people are waiting. Let's take a call. Good morning, caller. You're in the air.
Hey Jed, between stuff and shoving stuff in your pie hole and picking your teeth, when you quote Elizabeth Warren, do you want to go into the DNA claims before you tell us what she said?
Pocahontas. That's all you got to say, Pocahontas.
So she lied, right?
What?
Did she lie?
What does that have to do with what we're talking about right now? I mentioned that I don't really give her that much attention, and it was just a quote that I read. But you're doing exactly what I expected you to do, which is something comes up that does not fit with your story or agenda, so you go directly to something else. And that's, I think, part of the problem in America. Can't deal with the issue. We have to say, well, what about this? What about that? So go ahead, say it now. What about this? What about that? Do it.
Oh, Jed, that's funny because anytime a conservative caller, like Mad Mac just called, either you sidestep or end the conversation quickly. And yet on Tuesday, the people that want to bash anybody conservative or snicker about Trump or anybody that wants to make this country great again with conservative values, you just sit on it and support it completely for an hour and a half or 2 hours.
So you were a good example of the first point that I brought up. Hold on. Hold on. You said something.
Tell me who's addressing the points, Jed.
You. So, all right, hold on a second. So the first time you're showing, that example, and this time you are pointing out that I'm not letting conservatives talk long enough. That's your point? That's your point.
How quickly did you end that? You ask a question. Now you want me to answer it?
I just wonder what it feels like to be a victim all the time, you know?
He hung up.
Good job.
What do you mean he hung up?
He hung up on you.
So here's the thing, and I get that. Like, if something comes up, like if you're watching Fox or Newsmax or any of these all day long, they're going to feed you all day long the same thing that you want to hear, right?
But it's rage bait. I mean, a lot of times.
It's rage bait,
Yeah.
exactly. And then if you hear something that is not rage bait, then it's like, what about this? What about that?
So we talk about, we call them like the comforting lies and the inconvenient truths, or is it the comforting lies and the uncomfortable truths? Is that the idea of we want to hear we want our side to tell us the comforting lies and say, here's the story. We're going to tell you the good parts from our side. And then if you flip over to MSNBC or whatever, they're doing the exact same thing. Nobody's giving you the big picture anymore. You get these documents, you get the Epstein files, and then, MSNBC is saying, well, here's all the Republicans in the file. And then Fox News, and here's all the Democrats in the file. So, I mean, again, it's like this, you are getting the uncomfortable, the comforting lies, and then you're wondering why you don't know what's going on.
So then there's the second part of that, and I think Cow Guy and I talk about this once in a while. Who's not a victim in their own mind?
Well, okay.
You know what I mean? It's like, I didn't mean to pick on that guy, and I apologize, actually. I'm trying to, I guess, maybe illustrate a point. But certainly there are people in the Trump MAGA world that are like, oh, my God, the media's out to get me, and it's all slanted toward, whack job liberals, right? And then you have the same thing on the left where, oh, my God, Trump and all the MAGA people are out to get us, and they're going to ruin democracy, right? And that is, you're a victim of all of this.
Well, okay,
and I
right.
just don't get it, man.
But is there such a thing as we sort of talk about the generational victim mentality, about even like you joked a couple weeks ago about even now white people are victims. Like everybody's a victim, right? Doesn't matter what color, what age you are, everybody's a victim. And that becomes the question is instead of now when I talk to young people, when I talk to people, I say, like even when I talk to young people, I say, look, the old people, when I talk about, the Friday show, I said, the older people are going to pick on you, and they're going to say you're too young. What do they used to say about Sam? They say, you live in your parents' basement. You don't know what you're talking about. People are going to pick on you, and you have to just be better than that. And that's what I tell all the young people. I said about Adriana and Bob on Friday. I said, you got to come in the studio with your facts. People are going to fight you on things. People are going to call. If you don't have your facts straight, if you don't have your story straight, people are going to beat you up, and you need to be ready for that. And I mean, go ahead.
And I agree with that, and that's kind of a tangent. But, I watch, get up and I watch this one and then I watch the Fox for a little while and move around. And
I don't know how you watch them. I can't. I mean, I
don't really watch. I like to listen to Levin in the evening because he kind of sums up all the talking points and he's so angry
all the time. Well, don't you just like feel your blood? Like you just
No,
feel,
I don't care.
Like when I watch, like I remember I go to some place, I go to a hotel or something because I never watch regular cable. I turn on Fox News or whoever for a few minutes. I'm just like, I can feel my blood pressure. Like they're working me up. I'm like, no, I'm done. I'm not playing your game.
But you see,
you're trying to get me worked up, and I'm not going to play it.
No, that has been like that since we were sitting here messing with the transmitter 15 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, I'd be there, and I don't, really care about like some local issue, and I'd get you all fired up, and I'm like, why are you fired up? There's nothing you could do about this at all.
Right. And it took me 15 years to figure that out. What did I finally say? I'm like, there's nothing we can do about it. Like, I'm just here to talk about it.
But
now, right?
If you really watch that, each one of these like lanes that you're in, they're teaching you how to be a victim,
right?
And you know what? And it kind of goes.
They're justifying they're justifying your victimhood mentality. So you can always find. So it's one thing. It's basically it's like like the circle thing that we can't say in the radio. Is like you're basically saying, oh yeah, no, we're all victims. We're all victims. I mean, and again, everybody does that. Even look at what Don Lemon's doing now. I mean, he's basically Trump is after black journalists. He's gonna systematically eliminate black church. You went to a church and you were acting a fool and you got caught. But again, it's like, oh, this is definitely, it's a black journalist issue. Like, no, it's not. No, it's not. Everybody's looking for an excuse to be a victim. Everybody's like, well, woe is me. Look at me. The big bad wolf's coming after me, right? I mean, again, and that's it gets tiresome. I don't have respect for people like that.
It doesn't just get tiresome. It gets dangerous.
And that's what we talked about. When now you have the mayor of Minneapolis talking about this is the Fort Sumter moment, and, Tim Wall saying that his guard is going to be on the opposite, supporting the protesters, and not, you get into, this is what we've been talking about. This is that dangerous territory that I've been talking about for months when we start having incidents, like we've had 2 of them in Minneapolis already, and I expect that there will be more.
Do you agree there should be 3,000 federal ICE agents walking around Minneapolis?
I've said from the beginning, going back to L.A., I said this is a states' rights issue, right? I mean, the same argument we had during COVID, like this is a states' rights issue. If my state doesn't want to shut down for COVID, let's see how it works out. I mean, again, that's, as a libertarian.
So what do you mean a states' rights issue? What should be happening?
If the state wants to be if your city wants to be a sanctuary city, if your state wants to be a sanctuary state, you deal with it. You're not going to get federal dollars. You're going to deal with the consequence. Every state, every individual, every community, every state should deal with the consequences of their actions. And as I always say, elections have consequences.
So federal dollars is a good one that you bring up.
Right, but then that's what they do.
That's the biggest club. But then why, if it's really states' rights, then, well, why do we got to give you a bunch of money if you're not going to give any back?
And I go back to the Wisconsin issue. Remember, Wisconsin was the last state to raise the drinking age to 21, and they said, no, we're going to leave it 18. And the federal government said, yeah, you can definitely do that. You're not going to get a dollar of highway funds until you raise your drinking age to 21. And that's how this works. The federal government gives you money, but it's like that guy in the commercial with the dollar bill hanging from the fishing pole. There, you can do whatever you want, but if you don't do what we tell you, you're not going to get our money. Let's take a break.
And we've got calls. Easy this is, Lynette?
Well,
do you see how easy he is?
Don't bring her into this. She's the referee here.
All you got to do is wind him up, and he'll start going.
Like I'm actually going to make a cartoon of you manipulating me with your cell phone. Okay, let's take a break. We'll be back with more after this.
Becoming a truck driver doesn't have to be complicated. At Schneider, we make it easy to get your commercial driver's license and start your new career. With our CDL apprenticeship training, you'll get paid to become a truck driver in just 5 to 6 weeks and have a Schneider driving job waiting for you when you've completed the program. Plus, during training, Schneider will provide transportation, lodging, and meals at no cost to you. Ready to get your career on the road? Learn more and apply today at SchneiderJobs.com. That's SchneiderJobs.com.
When life takes you places and you can't get to the store, shop online with Strack and Van Til To Go. Our to-go service is easy to use, and it can save you time and money. Once your order is in, our own Strack and Van Til team preps your order with care. For delivery or pickup, enjoy the convenience of letting our to-go team shop for you. Enjoy your special moments. Sign up online today at shop.strackandvantil.com.
Tech Credit Union supports the essential role of union labor in building strong communities. That's why we offer hassle-free banking, financial empowerment, and a commitment to your success. Save for the future, handle life's challenges, and trust a partner that stands by hardworking union members. Tech Credit Union, the better option for you and your money. Visit techcu.org or call 800-276-8324. Tech Credit Union, supporting union families every step of the way.
From the gas in your car to the heat in your home and the roads that you drive on, our work powers daily life. We are USW Local 71, the proud men and women of the Whiting Refinery. We're not just refinery workers. We're your friends and neighbors, raising our families here, shopping in the same stores, and cheering in the same stands. USW Local 71, powering the region because we are the region.
8:43 here in the region. I want to power through some calls, and then Jim wants to talk NIPSCO. So let's go ahead and take some callers. Good morning, caller. You are on the air.
Hey, Jimmy. I just want to call you back real quick and just ask you a quick question. When are Verley and Matlock going to apologize for labeling me a terrorist by going to Matlock's house with the videotape they never produced? I'm just curious.
I don't know. I don't know. What do you want? What do you want from me? June 12th.
Okay.
Okay. June 12th to what? 2039 or 2090?
What do you want? You're
Real quick.
Wait a second.
Okay, go ahead. Here we go. He's going to hang up on you, too.
You're a victim, aren't you?
Who said that?
Well, I mean, you're a victim of Matlock and Verley.
Not at all. Not.
Then what are you saying? You want an apology?
Yeah, I just want an apology for them lying. You run the station, don't you?
Okay, all right. You know what? I don't know what you're doing, and I don't really care. We're talking about issues about people in America feeling the victim, feeling like they're victim, and then both parties taking advantage of it. And that was a really good discussion that we had going. And what do you want? You want to address an issue or what?
I'll give you a good victim. The public school on the west side of Chicago that had 800 kids there, predominantly about 90% black. And what did they do? They put in 300 kids, all illegals, who couldn't speak English. That was the beginning of the end of that school. They lost their funding for all the sports programs, band, PE, everything was wiped out to teach a bunch of illegals that they brought in. Within 2 years, the school collapsed and closed. African Americans, our country, are getting their keisters handed to them because we opened our borders and let them all in. And everybody thinks it's a joke. And now we've got our ICE guys up there trying to get these people out of our country. And what do Democrats? They defended a guy who beat the hell out of his wife.
But here becomes my only question about this.
Democrats do.
Jed was asking, I said states' rights issues. The city of Chicago elected Brandon Johnson. They turned on him after the election. But for the most part, I mean, this was no secret that electing Brandon Johnson, going the route of Sanctuary City, that this was the result. Shouldn't there be consequences for their vote? This is what they decided they wanted. So why is it an outsider's place to come in and say, we know this is what you want and it's been disastrous, but you want this policy, you got have fun. Like why should we come in? The federal government. The outsiders are Donald Trump and ICE.
The federal government is the umbrella over the United States of America.
I understand that, but
you cannot violate federal policy.
It supersedes. I understand
to declare
that.
yourself a sanctuary state.
No, I understand
That's
that,
illegal.
but should there not be consequences for their actions and for their voting? Like that's always my question: is you vote for people that want these disastrous things? Shouldn't you see it through and see the consequences for your actions?
Let's leave that as a rhetorical question.
Right.
Thanks
a
lot.
Thank you. Let's take the next call. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Hello. Listening to a few of your callers, everybody talks about making America great again. And I guess you and Jed are very smart people. Can you tell me when that was?
When what?
When America was great, what they want to return to.
Do you remember, you know what I think of whenever
50s.
Well, it depends on who you, I always joke that everybody wants to go back to when they were, 12 years old or 15 years old. So for me, it would be the mid 80s. But you know what I think of is, what was that show? The news, was that the Newsroom? Go watch the first 5 minutes of the news. I played it on this station years ago, and you can't play it because there's a lot of F-bombs. But the beginning of the Newsroom where they said, is America the greatest country? And he gave a whole litany of reasons why it's not. Go watch the first 5 minutes of the first episode of the Newsroom. It's on YouTube. It's everywhere. And he lays out the case for why we're not the greatest country in the world, and everybody beat him up for it. But again, that's the whole thing is like, depending on who you are, what color you are, was America ever great? You know what I mean? Like, that's the question. Like, who decides what's great?
That's what I don't.
Right.
That's
I get it.
What I don't get.
Right.
And, I just like to know. I would like somebody to tell me.
But this is my crazy libertarian utopian stance is, shouldn't America be great for everybody? Like, everybody gets to make their own destiny. Like, have low taxes, let people decide. If, Stan called in earlier, talking about how hard it is to be a small business owner. There are people that dream of opening a restaurant, and the cost and the regulation and the hoops to open a restaurant. And, like, shouldn't we live in a country where everybody gets to decide decide what makes it great for them and let them. And this is what when I argue with people tell me like you should run for office. I go, no, because I will tell you my goal would be just to leave you alone and let you make your own course. And people don't like that. We've created a country, and kind of Jed was talking about victimhood, but also just this idea that we're dependent on government. Like we should be scaling back government and letting people make their own course. And you decide what your great America is instead of somebody else deciding for you. But again, that's never going to happen. And I don't know.
What's your point, caller?
Go ahead.
I keep hearing everybody say that, and I just want to know. I just want them to explain to me when America was great and what made it great then.
Yeah.
And explain it to me.
Good question.
I mean, if people want to go back to the 1950s, you know what? The federal government built the highway system, so I guess they shouldn't use the interstates.
Well, they also said that the toll
America
roads would
was
last
great
10
when
years, and then what had happened there? Now it cost me $10 to drive on 294. So, I mean, again, it's like one of those things where, depending on where you were, the 50s were great. For me, growing up in Roxana in the 80s was great, and I wish we can go back to that time. We're on rode our bikes and didn't have the internet, but that's not going to happen. You know what I mean? So
No, it's not. And even then, there were issues. I mean, And you talk about regulation, but you also have to look at where regulation is done good for us.
I agree that there is a place, but I mean, also that's the thing is.
No, hold on a second.
Go ahead.
Think about it. You didn't grow up in Roxana, did you?
No. I grew up on the south side.
Yeah.
Roxana was
by the way, are there
anyway.
two guys that are less examples of EC than Walt and Chuck Pullen? I can't believe they both grew up in EC. But look at regulations. Remember Stauffer Chemical and Grown Polanco?
Yeah, I was there when the guy was up on the tower for a month. I mean,
without any regulation.
But here's the thing: reasonable regulation. I was talking the other day about how back in the day everybody's car was covered in that red stuff from the mills. We agree, but I mean that's the thing is like there's such a thing as there's burdensome regulations, and you have to decide, even like you're talking about NIPSCO, is a lot of the regulations and scaling back on coal power. A lot of those regulations have had consequences to the average consumer. So you have to talk about that. It's like, look, it's great that we want to go to green energy, but the cost per kilowatt hour, the cost per therm has gone up. So we have to find that balance between it'd be great if the whole world was windmills, but then your NIPSCO bill would be $10,000 a month. So we have to find that balance.
Hey, caller, did you call in just to get Chuck all riled up?
And thank you if you did. But he makes a valid point.
I called because I'm tired of people saying they want to make America great again. I mean, growing up in East Chicago, you talk about Chuck Pullen and Walt, and that's what East Chicago produced. You had that self-made people. They were salt of the earth. They were self-made people. They saw what the world could do to them, and they either went in two directions, right? They became conservative. Some people, I should say, many directions. Some people stayed liberal. Some people were libertarians. It was a mishmash of everybody.
Thanks a lot. All right, man. We're getting up against the clock.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So, I mean, again, when your first taste of politics is the Sidewalk 6 scandal when you're 12 years old, I mean, again, that kind of, that makes you sort of a pessimist when it comes to politics. Right?
I mean, think about it. I mean, when I was growing up, my mom would be like, what goes on behind closed doors? And people are looking at bids before they came in, and they'd steam them, and they'd open them, and then they'd put them back in. And I mean, it was the Wild West of corruption. And I don't know how I feel, but I feel like it's kind of like the Wild West of corruption.
So you're basically like East Chicago on a grand scale,
yeah,
now, right?
It's like we've seen this
right,
before.
So you and I have seen this. There's a lot of people in the country, like when I go down in southern Indiana and tell them about, they're like, what's the latest scandal in Lake County? And they don't believe me because they don't get all this. You know what I mean? Like they've never had these kind of scandals. So they just like sit there with bated breath like, oh, what's going on in Lake County? And it's interesting, but it's also kind of embarrassing.
I went to, when I was at IU, I went to like some library like 40 minutes out so that I could spend the whole day finishing up a paper or whatever, and to get away from my bad habits in Bloomington. And I get in there, and they were having, all the police were there, and the sheriffs were there, and I'm like, well, wow, what happened? Someone stole stole a big thing of toilet paper out of the bathroom in the library.
The SWAT team was there testing for fingerprints.
Like, whoa, that's pretty big
stuff.
Big
news. It was on the front page.
Wait a second. You were going to tell me what the issue with NIPSCO is before you go to these, because I need to know the issues. So the issue is that the IURC did, and again, you were on these boards, you know how it goes, is the IURC's 5 appointed board members from the governor approved I always say like 17% rate increase, whatever it was, earlier this year. Is that gas or electric?
It was here, I'll pull it up right now because I wanted to make sure.
So it's 20%-ish.
So basically, right. So then
why is everybody saying
16% over the next 2 years?
So why is everybody saying that their NIPSCO bill went up like doubled? And
because their delivery costs have gone up, and that's the thing, is that your delivery costs have gone up. So you've got usage, you've got the actual usage of electricity and gas, and you've got these line charges, delivery charges. So they've gone up. But again, the argument that I was making last week was, I mean, you look at, like, even we talked about copper and silver prices and things like that, the cost of raw materials, how much copper does NIPSCO go through in a year, right? How much wire do they buy? Their costs to maintain the grid have gone up because the cost of raw materials. So again, I'm not going to sit here and say they're the boogeyman because their costs have gone up.
Wait a second. Are you a NIPSCO apologizer?
How dare I just not? No, I'm saying that I can see both. If you're going to have if you're going to be an impartial moderator, if you're going to have an interview with somebody, you have to talk about the fact that their costs have gone up. Just like Stan called in earlier and said his costs have gone up, their costs have gone up, and they have to figure out what can we pass along to the consumer. The problem is, if Stan raises his rates too high, somebody will go to a different restaurant. You don't have that option with NIPSCO. It doesn't matter how much NIPSCO raises their rates. Short of somebody was joking earlier about cutting down firewood and burning logs, you don't have an option to get away from NIPSCO, right?
So what are the protests about?
So the protests are about their costs. People's NIPSCO bills. There's a Facebook group I'll invite you to, and you can kind of poke around there. It's called NIPSCO Madness. I will invite you to it right now. I mean, they believe that. So there's another inherent question is we're also going to smart meters. There's a lot of people like, hey, how do you live in a 2-bedroom apartment and your NIPSCO bill is now $1,000 a month? Like, there's questions about are there major billing mistakes? That a lot of these people are like, hey, this isn't 16%. This is 50%. This is 80%. So there's a lot of people that are questioning the billing methodology. So there's a lot of people that are just saying we just can't afford.
So
go ahead.
It's not, in your mind, it's not necessarily a specific, the rate increase in and of itself.
I can't invite you, but that's the group. It's called NIPSCO Monopoly Madness. And you can read all sorts of stories about people's bills. They post their bills. They talk about the news articles. There's MX posting a picture of Murphan. So, everything's here. Everything's on NIPSCO Monopoly Madness.
Yeah,
Check
but
it out on Facebook.
I guess I understand that the rates went up. And, there has to be kind of, is that really the whole thing of the protest is just like
people can't afford their bills.
I can't afford my bill.
But there's people that are claiming their bill went from like $200 to $800, $1,000. It's one thing to go from $200 to $250. Why did my bill go from $200 to $800? And that's what you'll see in these people. And again, it's a two-sided conversation. What changed? And a lot of people that track their expenses, you can look at their usage and say, is this, what did it cost me this year versus last year? What is my cost per therm? And obviously natural gas prices have spiked in the last few days. That's going to hurt. But that becomes the question is their rate increase in line with what their consumers can afford? Or is their rate increases more than what was approved is essentially where we're at.
It's 9:00.
Yeah, it is.
Hey, listen, you do a really good job, but why are you so excited right now?
Because I was good until you came
agitated.
in. Ask Lynette. We were just here hanging out and everything was cool. And then you came in and got everybody. You started dropping stuff and throwing bagels and everybody. You
do realize what easy prey you are.
I understand.
Because you care so much,
right? And that's my downfall.
And
I care.
Like the guy that
so
called
hard.
in and he was all upset. And I said, "What's it?" I apologize. I shouldn't have asked that question about him personally. In victimhood, but. I do really feel that way. That I'm like, gosh, we're all feeling.
But
like
it's
victims.
hard though.
Even me.
But
I
here's
feel
the
like
thing.
a victim.
I think about whenever we talk about NIPSCO. I think about one of the. I think it was one of the Hammond activists that we know. She was speaking at the IURC meeting years ago, and she said, "Look, I'm at the point where I have to decide NIPSCO bill or medication. Am I going to, I can't afford to do both. I can't afford to buy food and NIPSCO." And I think about those people all the time. Like these little old ladies that are on a fixed income, they don't have an extra 16% to give to NIPSCO, right? I mean, that's who I think about when we talk about this NIPSCO issue, is that there's a lot of folks that I meet and talk to. They said, I don't have the money. What am I supposed to do? I'm out of money. I can always go work an extra job or whatever, but if you're retired and on fixed income, what do you do? What do you do? I don't know.
And I agree. I mean, I understand the situation and the passion and the disgust. I don't know where to go with all of that.
But
I don't
again,
even know if we're doing any good.
If a person on a fixed income all of a sudden gets hit with 16% this and 10% that and cost of goods, they're gonna hit a breaking point where they're just my Social Security check is not going to cover. What am I going to do? And again, that's sort of like that thing, why there's 100-year-olds pushing carts at Walmart, because they just can't afford. I mean, but again, it's sort of like that thing. We made them a promise: work 50 years, pay into Social Security, we'll take care of you, and now we're not taking care of them. Or Medicare, Medicaid, whatever. I mean, we made that promise to them that we would take care of them, and now we've let them down. Or if they're veterans or whatever, and now we're just like, so sorry, not enough money. What? Go get a job. Go work at Walmart or McDonald's. Sorry. I mean, what are we doing? That's I hate leaving it on that note, but it is 9 o'clock.
Hey, Lynette, you did a really good job. Do you feel as if you are getting closer to what your role is with him?
She's like, uh-oh.
What is that exactly?
Hey,
How would you define it?
Real quick, it is 9:01. You're listening to AM 1230, 104.7 FM in beautiful Hammond, Indiana. Go ahead,
So what do you think your role is with him?
I'm just his producer.
No, that's not true. You are sitting in that chair. You're an extension of me, and you are, at some level, you're kind of guiding him in the right direction in a weird way.
You're my guiding
works.
light. Yeah.
I don't know how this works with you two. I was a little wondering. I'm like, how's that going to work with Lynette in there, and then with Pullen? But until I came in, you were nice and calm, and the whole show was just like...
We had a lot of fun.
And then what happened?
I don't know.
Hey, man, I could listen to you. I could listen to you all day, just talk about this stuff over and over. It's very interesting.
I hate doing a monologue. I enjoy, we do a good flow. We got lots of calls, and I know a lot of people like to call in Monday, and, they have stuff on their mind, and we facilitate.
I do want to say to people, I think that the angst and the discord and the fear and the anger that is out there, I feel like these kind of come and go, and they ebb and flow. And we may be at somewhat of a high point for this stuff.
Right.
But I don't think in a few years it's just going to be boring old talk radio.
After the elections, yeah. We'll be back to talking about local corruption again or whatever. But again, we roll with the punches, right? I mean, this is this is the high point. But again, this is what I said earlier, though, is my hope is that we don't I hope that angst doesn't materialize in the streets, right? I mean, even like what happened with Don Lemon in that church, like that's scary. That's scary that you're going to start having, people's sanctuaries invaded and violated, or both sides. I mean, again, it's like that's a scary moment that people are starting to violate each other's sort of sanctuary safe spaces, and that over politics, over who's, works at ICE or works with ICE or whatever. So we're approaching a dangerous sort of plateau here, and hopefully we all agree, okay, cooler heads, but it could go either way right now. A dangerous plateau of like this becomes commonplace with what's happening in Minneapolis grows and happens in other communities, and people fighting in churches. And I mean, again, we're going to get, I hope that we can look at what's happening in Minneapolis as business as usual in this country. We say this is an outlier, this is a bad precedent, and we need to stop. But is that going to happen, or is this going to grow? I mean, again, you're right. The president has a lot of say in the matter. Is he going to push ICE into other communities? Is he going to push into Chicago? Chicago's not going to put up with that, you know. I already see what they're already protesting in Chicago. It's going to get ugly, and I don't know what we do about that.
Hey, thanks to everyone who called in today. You know, even if I disagreed or was poking the bear.
Or got you to hang up on them.
Yeah, you know, I don't mean to do that. And the one guy that hung up, I appreciate his call just like everybody else. But I do recognize the point in history that we're at.
Right.
And it is very troubling.
Well, and I appreciate that you trust us to be on here to be sort of orators of history for the region, because I think for me, it's an important time in history, and I'm glad to be a part of it. Just like, like when COVID happened, I got to Sam, I said, I got to get on the air because there's so much going on. I want to be a part of, telling that story, and I appreciate that you let us know.
Is one day in a week enough?
I'm good. I don't need Fridays. I've heard, Bob and Adriana do a great job on Friday. I'll leave it to them.
So do you realize what happened, Lynette? I mean, I got nothing to do.
I got a Zoom call to get on, but that's fine.
When I was 22 years old, I got thrown in this studio, and it was because the dude was, I don't know, sick or whatever. And then I wound up doing the afternoon show for a while.
Well, I remember that's what happened with me and Harlow. Harlow got sick, and you guys said cover for him till he's back, and that was months.
Yeah, and so the amount of complaints that Colby got about me were, it's just very, very lengthy list. And it all kind of rolled down to the fact that I was just 22 years old, right?
Right.
And I didn't want to talk about all the same BS that these old farts wanted to talk about. And he stood by me.
Right. And you stood by me, and we stood by Bob and Adriana and all the younger people coming in.
And I told Adriana, I'm like, hey man, these guys are gonna, they're gonna come after you.
But again, it forces them to up their game. And that's what I learned doing the afternoon show when Ron wasn't here, was if I came in here without a good show prepared, without my facts, guys like Walt called and beat me up. So what are you guys doing here? Right? You got to come here bring the receipts, as the kids say. Bring your facts, otherwise they will beat you up.
Walt used to be able to see both sides.
Well, so did MX and a lot of other people, right? I mean, it was a weird time. MX and I used to clash all the time on the radio back then. But
thank you for letting me come in.
So it goes. Thank you for letting me come in. We'll leave it there.
Let's just call it then. I hate to do that with all these people watching. I don't know why.
Well, they'll tune back in tomorrow, and they'll tune back in on Wednesday.
I'll be here tomorrow with Furley, guys.
Okay, take care.
But it's time. You gotta catch up. Yeah. I'll catch up with you. I'll be right back. I'll see you in a minute.
Anything else? Yeah.
Well, what's up, boy? Hey, Ryan. Not tonight, man. Not tonight. Oh, yeah. You guys are right. Hey.